They hate when you elevate. The second of losses, I'm handing them out, yeah, I had to go delegate. It feel like I'm floating, I'm lost in the moment, I swear I could levitate. They never believed that I would really fly, I had to go demonstrate. I had to set them straight. They hate when you elevate, elevate, elevate. They hate when you elevate, elevate, elevate. Yeah, they hate when you elevate, elevate, elevate. They hate when you elevate, yeah. I had to elevate. I'm way too fly, yeah, I'm feeling myself. Ain't no chance I'm coming down, no. Got a soul view to myself, yeah. Why would I give it up? Why do they wanna come take my place? I work too hard for it, don't need a replacement. This my vocation, now I got rollies all in rotation. Hop on a jet just to take a vacation. Remember the moments was trapped in the basement. Now the hard work is all taking me places. Squatting all black like we trapped in the matrix. Bet on myself and go ball out in Vegas. Living a life like I'm rich and I'm famous. Don't see the grind that I know that it came with. Oh. I ain't make it this far for myself, yeah. I had to prove to everybody else, I had to set them straight, yeah. I had to ball, so I had to renovate, I know. They hate when you elevate. The second of losses, I'm handing them out, yeah, I had to go delegate. It feel like I'm floating, I'm lost in the moment, I swear I could levitate. They never believed that I would really fly, I had to go demonstrate. I had to set them straight.
I sent you the link, man.
Make sure the fashion right, yeah. I'm in my bag tonight, yeah. Ooh, I might just pull up before it. Yeah. This that high life for the few. You could have it all, no need to choose. First, let me demonstrate how you can rise to the top. Yeah, I had to elevate. They hate when you elevate.
Yup. Yeah. Salute to the chat. We back at it again, back at it with another one. Hope everybody's doing well this morning. Good morning. We doing this morning stream thing, getting it in. Man, yesterday was a crazy day, right? StreamYard was acting up. Even right now, it's acting a little funny. I'm not too sure, you know what I'm saying, at how it's going to be looking. Hopefully everything runs smooth today, you know what I'm saying? We'll see. I see things moving around in StreamYard, but we're going to sit out here and spit this again. We got a lot of boxing to talk about, as usual, and you know we're going to cover the boxing a lot. We got a couple of big events coming in this weekend, and also want to highlight a fight coming out on December 7th. A couple of fights on December 7th, 2 events really, but a specific fight that I want to build with you guys in the building. But how you guys doing this morning? Let's go down and do the roll call. We got people in the building here for boxing. So that's my brother right there, my Aki right there, Fly Frequency. Salute, King. Hope everything is well with you. AJ Moore. Country Crowder. Supporting and showing love. Country Q again. Let me see. AK Crowder. Great Gambino, of course. I need to moderate you, family. I'm going to get you together today, man. I apologize, man. I'll be ignoring that right there. Jackie Hernandez, man, third day in a row. I see you here. Thank you, Queen. Salute. Means a lot to see you here, man. For real. I'm hoping that daytime spot that we're doing right now, we see you a little bit more regularly. RC in the building. Shout out to you, RC, and shout out to Inevitable D Block, because I definitely pulled that fax from Inevitable D Block. Cornelius Bennett. Burnett with the original player. Jarrell Freeman. Salute. Jarrell Freeman. Yeah. We're going to build today, man. I'm trying to keep up with you in Blue daily. No doubt, Jarrell. No doubt, man. And for sure, shout out to my brother, Blue Blood, my big brother, Blue Blood Sports TV. Here right now, but definitely salute to him. You guys can catch us later today. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, I'm there with Blue Blood. So we're gonna build, man. We got a lot to build about. My bell is going off. Guys, hold the line for a second, guys. Y'all hold the line for a second. Hold the line for a second. Let me see. I got somebody at the door, and I don't got nobody here at the crib with the kid. So y'all just hold it together for a second. We'll be right back. All righty. My apologies. Thanks for your patience, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we back at it, man. We back at it. So we got a lot of boxing to talk about today. Going into the weekend, we got Tyson and Jake Paul. I know that's not really the I don't know if anybody's really taking that fight seriously. I don't know if I'm taking that fight seriously, right? But the event has a lot of great fights on the undercard. We got Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor doing their sequel on that card. And if you guys remember that fight, if you watching women's boxing, I am. We know that fight, I'm expecting to be even a better fight than the first one. The first fight was damn near fight of the year when it went down. So this fight right now, we're going to see if they can separate themselves, see if Amanda Serrano can improve wherever she needs to improve at to actually pull out a victory. A whole lot of belts on the line, a whole lot of legacy, a whole lot of GOAT talk going on Friday, right? A whole lot of GOAT talk going on Friday. On that same card, obviously, we got Mario Barrios defending his WBC welterweight champion. And we got a prospect favorite of mine who's really a contender right now, but some people might consider him a prospect. I definitely looking forward to see Bruce Carrington do his thing. I'm looking for him to be one of those guys at 126 pounds. I really want to see him in that division making some things happen. I have this funny feeling that Monster Inoue is going to make his presence felt at 126, probably sometime towards the latter part of next year. And I want Bruce Carrington in that conversation, as well as all the other fighters in that division. Obviously, Nick Ball across the pond doing his thing as well, holding that WBA title down firm. But I want to see Bruce Carrington in the conversation. So shout out to Bruce Carrington. And then we're going to see also going into a Riyadh season, another Riyadh season event this weekend, Saturday. We're going to see Zerdos and Christian Smith Bielam Smith. I don't know off the top of my head right now. I'm just kind of going with it. Cruiserweight action going on, big punching going on in the ring on Saturday night. And of course, we probably got the real main event fight on that card for the guys on this side of the conversation. We know we want to see William Zepeda and Tevin Farmer go at it. The winner of this fight seems to be the one that's going to lock in that opportunity to become a WBC champion, and we're going to get to see, hopefully, Shakur Stevenson make a comeback after that hand injury, him having to take a little hiatus. Hopefully get to see Shakur in the ring with one of those guys. I think we all know who we really want to see him in the ring with, by the way, which is we want to see him in there with Williams Zepeda. So let's see if Williams Zepeda can handle Tevin Farmer. I happen to believe that fight's going to be pretty competitive. I think Williams Zepeda is going to have a good time dealing with that slick southpaw fighter in Tevin Farmer. This guy's a veteran in the game. He understands how to move around that ring, and I think people are sleeping on his ability to really make this fight a big fight. Might even walk away with a decision. If you think about how Rayo Venezuela handled Isaac Pitbull Cruz to a degree, we'll talk about it. Right? With Tevin Farmer might be an issue this weekend for Williams Zepeda, but I still am expecting Williams Zepeda to probably get this win, but it's going to be more of a challenge than I think most people are anticipating it to be, right? And then we'll go ahead and we'll move forward and talk about a fight that's not coming until December 7th, but it's a fight that I want everybody to keep their eye on because another fight of the year candidate, Robeisy Ramirez versus Rafael Espinoza. If you guys don't remember, go check it out. That fight was crazy, ups and down. Robeisy knocks Rafael down early in the match. You think Robeisy's walking away, and then in the last round, Rafael Espinoza really showing his fortitude, his testicular fortitude, making it happen, letting out high volume. We're talking about 100+ punches around. So at the end of that fight, putting Robeisy Ramirez down to a knee and able to walk away with a very razor-tight, close split decision just to become the current WBO champion. Robeisy Ramirez has worked his way back up to get himself back into this rematch with him. And even on the back end of this fight, rumors around that Rafael Espinoza may be trying to make moves to the 130-pound division after this fight. So how motivated is he to win this fight? What is he going into this fight thinking? Is he focused on this fight the way he's supposed to be focused on it? Or is he thinking about 130 and what's going on up there, trying to join his peers like the Raymond Fords and et cetera, right? Those Shaky Fosters and the Manuel Navarrates. Big fights to be made at 130 pounds with a puncher and somebody with the heart and the dog of a Rafael Espinoza. We will get into all of that. We'll also talk about the drama. We're going to have a chatty patty hour. We're going to talk about Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez. Yes, we are. We're going to build on that a little bit because at the end of the day, why not? We all know a little bit of drama. It's not about fights, but it's about fights that need to be made, fighters who are maybe pricing themselves out of great opportunities, pricing themselves out of an opportunity to serve the fan base. And we got to see what's on their mind. We'll talk about it, speculate, right? Because that's what we can do in a situation like that, speculate. But we ain't scared to do a little speculating on this channel, right? Why not? Why not? It's all part of the game, right? Shout out to Jay Will in the building. Salute. King, what's good, family? Who else we got? Any new guys we got in the building here? DGO 82. Salute, King. Salute. Yeah, Jackie Hernandez says, I'm excited for the SERRANO fight. I bet you are, Jackie. I am too. I think that's going to be a great fight. And we can actually start off. Let's start off with that fight, right? Let's talk about it. At the end of the day, Amanda Serrano in the GOAT conversation, she's achieved a whole lot of things in her career. And this was the one thing that if she probably looked back at, she pioneered a huge thing for female boxing, right? A huge moment for female boxing. And that's something that you always have to respect Jake Paul for, right? That he facilitated that, looked into female boxing, looked specifically into Amanda Serrano and was like, listen, man, this part of boxing is not getting the light it deserves. I'm going to put this girl on a big show. And it seemed like the world embraced it, right? In Madison Square Garden, New York. I think it was Madison Square Garden. Don't quote me. But in New York, the place packed out. And these girls really set it off and let everybody know that women boxing is just as exciting as men's boxing, right? Amanda Serrano ushered in the 3-minute rounds, right? She said, I want 3-minute rounds for the female boxing. She just constantly moving the needle forward, evolving the sport in a direction to where females are going to get the respect that they deserve to get. And Jackie says, and I think she won that first fight. Yeah, a lot of people felt like that, right? A lot of people felt, but at the end of the day, it wasn't a robbery, right? But it was such a close fight. More importantly, a close fight means competitive. And we all love competitive boxing, right? Competitive sports. And that's what they bring to each other because Katie Taylor, within her own right, super decorated and also has done her part to push female boxing forward. So we get to see these ladies put it together, right? We get to see Amanda put it together. We get to see Katie put it together. I thought I had some but I don't. I guess that those one of the photos that ain't gone through. Okay, it's all good. It's all good. And we'll see what happens that weekend. I'm expecting a lot of action. I'm expecting a high amount of punch output. Let's see what Amanda Serrano's done with her game. Since then, has she evolved? A lot of people think Amanda Serrano might be on her way out the door, only trying to take the biggest fights possible, really becoming a promoter as well. She's got a lot of fighters that she's promoting, working along, partnering with MVP. With Jake Paul, and she's just doing so much, so busy. And Puerto Rico loves her, and this fight right here is just another opportunity for her to go ahead and make that legacy felt. And I'm looking forward to see her put it together as well, right? But then we also have the main event of that on that card, right? The main event of that card, everybody knows, it's your boy Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, right? And the question is, what are we even watching? What are we even looking for in this fight? 2-minute rounds. I think it's like 8 2-minute rounds. This is going to go on their professional records. But we got an aged out Mike Tyson, right? A Mike Tyson who hasn't been in the ring. Well, if you want to consider the Roy Jones fight last, like 2 years ago? I don't know, 2-3 years ago. I don't know how long that was. Mike Tyson came out, but this is definitely not the Iron Mike Tyson that we are all familiar with. Let's be honest. Right? Not the Mike Tyson we're familiar with. There's a whole different Mike Tyson coming into the ring on Friday night. But look, training videos, watching this guy spar, get ready. I mean, he's about as great a shape as a 58-year-old guy can be, right? Let's be honest. He's about as good a shape as a 58-year-old guy is going to be. I've always said that genetically, this guy has been like predispositioned genetically to fight in a moment like this, right? I don't know who else I think could deliver this. We've seen Holyfield deliver a horrible exhibition against Victor Ortiz, whatever his name is, the UFC fighter, when Holyfield, who was one of the best heavyweights of his time, just looked old for sure. We've seen other fighters try to do it, but nobody's ever really been able to bring it quite forward like Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson looking like he's in great shape and has got bad intentions for the young bull, Jake Paul, who, I mean, let's think about it. Jake Paul, this is Jake Paul. If you guys don't know who Jake Paul is, here he is, Jake Paul, right? In all his in all his glory, Jake Paul, where he started from. And it's hard to believe that this guy somehow has come together and put himself in a position where he's head to head with Iron Mike Tyson. You want Mike Tyson to deliver the reality blow to Jake Paul, right? You want Jake Paul to wake up and realize that heavyweight boxing is a whole different conversation. Boxing in general, you don't just come in last minute, come from a YouTuber, go in the gym, practice boxing, and all of a sudden you're one of those guys. In the conversation. He's been fighting MMA fighters and boxers in their own right, probably haven't boxed like 2-3 years. And now he's finally going to get in the ring to the closest thing he's probably ever had to a real fighter outside of Tyson Fury's little brother. And we don't, everybody got their personal opinion on this, but I can't lie. This is a little nostalgic for me. I need Mike Tyson to step it up. I want to see him get knocked out. I don't know if I can forgive Jake Paul for hurting good old Iron Mike Tyson. Don't know if I can. Salute to my co-host in the building.
What up, y'all? Salute.
Yeah, we building on a couple different things today. We freestyling it. I put it together. Let me read here also. Hold on a second. Let me see. What does it say here? I see a whole lot here. Rafael said Jake did do that, but it was Clarissa who was the first female to headline on a major network, Showtime. Shields does not get the love from promoters like Taylor and Serrano and Taylor did. Yeah, I agree, Rafael. Clarissa Shields is a trendsetter within herself too. She's definitely holds her spot there as far as female boxing is concerned, and evolving it and moving the needle 100%. Clarissa is definitely in the conversation, right? But Clarissa's not fighting this weekend, right? So we can celebrate Clarissa when she has a fight coming up. She has a movie coming out, I think, next month about her life story. I'll be tuned into that and see how that looks. Clarissa's doing great things, but I don't think it can only be one, right? I think sometimes these conversations trigger people, and when you're trying to give somebody their flowers, all of a sudden, you know what I mean? It's kind of like it puts them against each other. And females in general, it seems like it's like that. Even in music, sports, it's like there can only be one. So it's like if you're celebrating one, there's only one spot for the go. And it's a competitive sport, but we can celebrate everybody. You know what I mean? And this weekend is a big weekend for Amanda Serrano, right? It's a huge weekend for her. She gets another opportunity to become an undisputed champion and to challenge one of the, Hall of Fame fighters. And Katie Taylor, in my opinion, is probably going to be a Hall of Fame fighter. And she gets an opportunity to do something and correct something in her career because she's had such a great career. This is probably the one thing that she has going on that she wants to correct and would just kind of end her career the right way. So we're going to salute all the ladies at all time, man. All the ladies going to get love. Ray, what's good with you, family? How you feeling, man?
I'm hanging in there, boy. I'm really just chilling. You know what I mean? Long night at work, but other than that, checked out some tunes. Kept on some stuff. Watch some of the things you talking about right now with Mike Tyson, Jake Paul, and other than that, man, just been chilling.
No doubt, man. Any thoughts on that fight? Well, I've already addressed a little bit of the Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor fight, which in my opinion is the main event of the evening. They might have them as a co-main event, but I think if any real boxing fans are going to acknowledge that that's the fight on that card, that's the must-see fight. What do you think? Am I bugging?
Maybe the Barrios fight, surprisingly.
Okay.
Reason why I think that could be the case is because no one's seen Barrios and Lord knows how long, and he's supposed to be fighting on PBC card earlier this year, and I think he fought on one card, right? And then I'm sorry, not earlier this year, earlier this summer. He fought on one card earlier this year, and he's supposed to fight on another card.
Didn't he fight
Canelo
on
card.
Was it the Canelo? Yeah, it was the Canelo card.
Exactly. Yeah. And then he's supposed to fight on another card this summer. I believe it was the other Canelo card, or it was supposed to be maybe the Caleb Plant free fight. I'm not really sure, but he never made it to that stage. So it seems that he made it to another stage though, linked up with another great host and MVP, and is making his debut on what I guess we would consider a free card. I'm not sure, or a small pay-per-view. Getting a little bag there to fight with the great Mike Tyson.
If you haven't, I mean, you pay your Netflix monthly
subscription, right?
But yeah, it's definitely free. Netflix is not doing a pay-per-view. Everybody's gonna get to watch it, which is another great thing because Jake Paul, once again, let's be honest, like he's also, Jake Paul has this thing that he does for boxing. You know what I mean? At times it looks like he's a culture vulture, but for the most part, I think he's really facilitating big events for a lot of fighters who probably wouldn't get the attention that they're getting without Jake Paul. We got to celebrate that man a little bit. Here he goes, ushering in a whole nother era of Netflix getting involved in boxing and, bringing all these eyes to it. He's got Mike Tyson in there as well next to him, helping it out. And they're pushing forward boxing on the biggest stage. And that's something we got to start kind of celebrating these guys for those kind of achievements. Maybe he's not a champion. Maybe he's not out there challenging himself, trying to fight Jayo Patai or Zerto, or, you know what I'm saying? Get on these big, with these big cruiserweights that are out there right now. And he shouldn't be, right? Because at the end of the day, the kid doesn't have the experience to be in the ring with those kind of people. But he's facilitating huge fights, big stages for fighters who, shout out to H2O. He had a horrible knockout that happened to him, but was definitely on his road to being a conversation of fighting Floyd Schofield and getting a conversation of fighting big network fighters. And without Jake Paul, do we see that happening?
Exactly. And that's pretty much what I've been touching on all year. A lot of people, I remember I got my back kicked in, not here obviously, but other places, because I said we need to pay tribute to Jake Paul. I think a couple of years ago, I'm going to say at least, and we talked about it yesterday with KSI, when he did that fight with KSI, that brought a lot of fans back to the sport, believe it or not. It just opened eyes. It was like, yo, these guys are out here boxing, and who are these guys? Are the YouTubers? And remember they had like the celebrity hip hop guys. I think it was Soulja Boy and somebody else was trying to box, and nobody was really buying that. But when them two guys went at it, and them guys put on a show, and they threw it out there, and they had a little mini card that was pretty good. It showed something to the sport, and people got hooked. Casuals got hooked. So next thing you know, you go to, if boxing channels are all open on YouTube, they started climbing the ladders, and you can go on YouTube and you start talking about boxing. It was like, okay, where this place been hidden under a rock? We didn't know about this. And you know what I mean? Like Smurf Village, everything opened up. And you sitting there, now you got a whole bunch of boxing to talk about, man. And it's great because all these people came back to boxing, or even the casual fan base have got to know boxing and became fans of boxing due to these guys performing. So I give credit to Jake Paul. I think his numbers in itself says that, you know what I mean, the casuals watch him. So I like to give respect where respect is due. And I'm not trying to just, you know what I mean, pause. I'm not trying to just give this guy a whole bunch of accolades for no reason. I mean, this guy really single-handedly got together with some pro boxers and some ex boxers and things of that nature. And he started putting on events, and these events are starting to show and look good for the fan base of boxing. So now the sport is growing back to where I think it's getting more acknowledgement, and I think we're going to be in a big show. So we always want to give that guy a shout out, man. I really do. And you know what I mean, I know he ain't my cup of tea, ain't with the celebrity boxing thing, but I do enjoy boxing overall, man. I think it is what it is. I think these guys really did their thing. And shout out to like I said, Jake Paul, and thanks Mike Tyson for coming back up in here. If you dust them off, you do. Hopefully you do. I mean, that's a giant in there with you, but you know what? We see you defy odds before. And like I said, we got a nice little card there with SERRANO. You got Barrios, and you got the top ranked guy over there too, which is crazy, right? Because I was laughing. I put in the chat. You gonna laugh at me, Clay? I put Blue last night. I had put in the chat. I was like, "Yo, damn, they got top ranked and PBC fighters over there. Ain't nobody screaming Jake Paul trying to steal boxing." You know what I mean?
Listen, man. We've had boxing's needed a facelift for a long time. We don't need to act like it hasn't been. You have some people who are kind of stuck to what it looks like, and you know, the way it looks like presently isn't benefiting the sport, right? The best are obviously fighting the best. We have this big fake A side, B side, across the street nonsense going on that's been getting in the way of the best fights happening for the fan base. And you got a breath of fresh air coming in the space with the Jake Pauls, with the Turkey Al-Sheiks, and other, even overseas across the pond, promoters over there starting to pick up American fighters and trying to promote them, like Eddie Hearn, and trying to get involved in the conversation and trying to bring boxing up to the next level. There's going to be resistance because people feel like boxing is supposed to look a certain way, and I'm not even talking about as far as the competition, but as far as who's in control, who's at the helm, who drives or who pushes the actual trend of what's really good in boxing. And people are going to push back at it, but in reality, in my personal opinion, I think this is nothing but great stuff happening. So somebody like Jake Paul coming in and putting on an event at Netflix, giving Mario Barrios an opportunity to be active where he only fought on one card this year, how could that be a negative thing? Shushu Carrington getting the opportunity to show out. His last performance was a little lackluster. He gets another opportunity to reclaim his name in front of probably a larger audience that would have ever been watching Top Rank, being that Netflix has so many subscribers. Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor, H2O, even Body. I can't remember his first name, whatever his first name is, Body, right? The guy who knocked H2O out. Yeah. He's going to be on this card as well. You know, so look, man, it's all good, man. It's a lot of boxing. And if you like boxing, I don't get pushing back at more boxing. That throws me off. I'll never understand it. I don't care about the logic or the legitimacy behind what you're saying, or the, you know, whatever it is that you're saying. If it doesn't equal up to more boxing, you're in the way. You know what I'm saying? You're in the way.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? Shout out, bro. Clay, you really gonna hype Jake Paul like he's a legit fighter? Guys fighting the senior sitting, shit is silly. Yeah, it's here, Orlando. Yeah, bro.
Guess
like
what?
I said, bro, if you're not pushing for more fights, if you only see Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, you don't see Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano, you don't see Mario Barrios, you don't see Bruce Carrington, you don't see all these fights on the undercard, and all you can see is Mike Tyson fighting against Jake Paul, then yeah, bro, I don't know what to tell you, bro. Don't watch it, right? We're going to be watching it, and we're going to cover it because it's boxing. We're going to cover what's going on these MVP cards under the zone as well, because that's boxing. There's a lot more boxing happening outside of Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. You guys just gotta, you know what I'm saying?
Slow down.
Yeah, bro. Just take the good with the bad, man. Take the good with the bad, bro. You know what I mean? We're not gonna sit here and throw shots at Jake Paul and say he's not this and he's not that. Meanwhile, he's putting on these cards. It all comes together. It's one thing. You hyping Jake Paul while hating on GTD makes it, and then he brings Javante.
Who hating on who Jake?
Yeah.
Who dating on?
Caught up.
See,
small sided, short sided, short sided.
Look, that's a bad argument for a lawyer, bro. Sorry to say, but you ain't gonna win that one. You got to prove that somebody hating, bro.
Yeah, there he
And
goes
you ain't
saying
gonna
his
prove
name.
that.
Yeah, it is what it is, bro.
There you go. Hey, salute. You can say it one more time. I say what you
Right.
take.
We ain't got no
But you
Tank news to cover this morning. Tank ain't
right,
done nothing. He cut off his social
right.
media. So some of your favorite channels probably ain't got nothing to talk about this morning. So I guess they're waiting for him to get back online and show you guys his new braids or something else
And
that
look,
he got going on. Tell you about his new favorite
Clay,
rapper.
if I don't want to throw shots, but if we was the ones that was hating on Tank, did we call him Tinkerbell like T. Orlando did? If I'm not mistaken, Tink. Was
I
that
wouldn't
him?
know. I don't know
Oh
what he said.
shoot! I'm
Yeah,
just saying.
I don't know what
You know
he
what I
said
mean?
either.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you, T. Orlando. I got you.
Yeah. All I'm saying is at the end of the day, we got a whole lot of boxing to talk about. There was a whole lot of boxing that went on this weekend, and there's a whole lot of boxing coming up this weekend. And shout out to Tank Man. Can't wait for him to make his return when that happens. We'll be talking about that too as well, because we talk about boxing here. But outside of that, we ain't gonna talk about somebody who's not fighting. That's a waste of our time. So let's get back to the originally scheduled program and get back on boxing. Jake Paul's card Friday night. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. The undercard looks like it's going to be an official undercard. I'm be looking forward to see that card. We can also move into Saturday and talk about Saturday's event, because guess who's back at it on Saturday? Guess who's back at it on Saturday? I'm sure this is one of TFE most favorite people in the game right now. Where were you at right here? Turkey Alashik back at it again with RIYHAD season, this time with Oscar De La Hoya, giving Oscar De La Hoya an opportunity to go ahead and facilitate some of the biggest fights he can come up with in his in the Latino community. This night being actually focused on Latin night. Nothing but the best the best Latin boxers. I said boxers on Oscar De La Hoya's Golden Boy promotion. Headlining it, of course, Robeisy Ramirez and Christian Billiam Smith. But like I said, we got bigger fights that are popping off in that card that people want to see. We're going to be talking about William Zepeda and Tevin Farmer. We're going to be talking about Jose Ramirez and Arnold Barbosa. We're going to be talking about all these guys who are going to be showing up on this card. And let's talk and break down some of these fights. I think this card has a lot of hot fights on it and potential fight of the year candidates on that card, right? But also this card holds a lot of weight as far as the significance of the results of these fights, right? So let's start off with the William Zepeda in the Tevin Farmer fight. How do you see that? I mean, not how do you see it going, because I think that's an easy answer. I think a lot of people see it going a certain way, but does Tevin Farmer really stand a real shot at winning this fight? I mean, people sleep on Tevin Farmer, although he hasn't been as active. Like he's just recently getting back active, but I think Tevin Farmer brings something different that I don't know if I've seen William Zepeda get in front of. Probably the closest thing that I've probably seen him get close to fighting a slick fighter like that would probably be Cabrera. And in my opinion, Cabrera didn't fight that kind of fight that night for some reason. It seems like he stood inside. He kind of like did the whole Karen thing, right? He went from being a slick fighter who a lot of people thought beat Isak Pitbull Cruz to this fighter who stood inside the paint and was more so trying to keep the fight mid-range. In my opinion, made it a lot easier for William Zepeda to win that fight. Not to say that I thought William Zepeda was going to lose the fight, but just to say that it was a different fight. And I think Tevin Farmer is a little bit more disciplined, a little bit more polished, and is not going to fall for that. And it's probably going to give William Zepeda that true slick boxer experience. What do you think? Okay, he's not tapped in. Something's going on.
No. I'm good. I was just going to say, yeah, I had to tap out for a second, but no, what I was going to say is that I think, what Tevin Farmer is going to bring is a different look, as you just mentioned. Tevin Farmer is going to give an element of surprise. It looks to be. I mean, they're boxers, so we always got to give them the chance when they step in the ring with other boxers and see how that goes. But I just think William Zepeda just has a little too much in a gas tank, and what I mean by that is, I mean, he's a high level F1 style puncher. He's all high punch rate, and those shots have power. Many fighters have been known to say that this guy doesn't just throw a lot of shots, but he throws hard, strong punches. So is Tevin Farmer going to be able to withstand that onslaught that William Zepeda is going to do once he gets comfortable with his hands and he gets comfortable with his feet in place? He's going to continue to walk down. Tevin Farmer does have the ability to to move around in the ring and try to keep try to keep himself from getting hit. But unfortunately, it's boxing, and when there's two people in the ring, everybody gets hit. Um, and we'll just see how it works out. Tevin Farmer does have an opportunity to win this fight. He is experienced as well, so we'll see how that goes.
No doubt, no doubt. Salute to my brother. Yeah, most definitely. I think that what we're gonna see, or what we're looking for, or what I'm looking forward to see, right? I'm looking forward to see William Zepeda try to cut the ring off. Let's see how his skills are in cutting the ring off, his ability to deal with a slick southpaw, right? This fight is ultimately the fight that's getting William Zepeda supposedly ready for the fight that everybody is thinking is going to come together, which is William Zepeda versus Shakur Stevenson, right? And Shakur obviously will be looking at this fight, and he'll be sitting there trying to figure out if this guy's going to be more of a challenge than he thought he was going to be, because he doesn't believe that William Zepeda really is going to be the biggest threat, but he does believe that the boxing space believes that he's a big threat, and because of that, he wants to prove something against William Zepeda. So I'm sure he'll have his eye close on the fight. Will William Zepeda be able to cut the ring off? Will he be able to make the ring a small place? Tevin Farmer is a very athletic, slick fighter, and will Tevin Farmer be able to evade all that high volume punching? I'm looking at William Zepeda probably going to be trying to attack that body of Tevin Farmer as much as he can. He's going to try to take his legs from under him, right? Stop him from moving around as much as he can. If William Zepeda gets exposed in this fight, even in a loss, right? Even in a win, excuse me. If he wins this fight, but it's a very competitive fight, I think that puts a whole look on the Shakur Stevenson fight. But obviously, if he's able to dominate and ultimately stop Tevin Farmer, then that puts a whole nother view as well on the Shakur Stevenson William Zepeda fight. Now, obviously, we also know the triangle theory is not real, right? People say it isn't, but I don't care who you are. How can you not look at a fighter fighting one fight and think about him in another fight? It's difficult to do it. It's definitely been proven wrong at times, because fighters just styles make fights, but a lot of times I think the triangle theories come through. So we're all going to be looking to see that in this fight. I personally think Tevin Farmer is going to give William Zepeda some unique looks, and I don't know, I don't see any evidence right now to say that William Zepeda is going to be able to do what he's done to everybody else to Tevin Farmer. This is going to be a different fighter who's not going to be standing there trying to punch on you. He's going to be sitting there hitting and not getting hit, and he has the ability to do it. William Zepeda has never been questioned on his conditioning. We know he has the energy to go 12 rounds. He puts out a lot of punches every round, so his condition is going to be there. So he's going to be in the fight the whole entire fight. And if Tevin Farmer slips one time in this fight, slows down one bit, that could be the end for Tevin Farmer, right? But let's be honest. He has to maintain that pace. He has to maintain the movement, the lateral movement. He has to hit William Zepeda on these angles, look to catch him on these angle shots, and he has to put William Zepeda in a space that he's never been in before. And let's see how William Zepeda deals with that. Him and Panda are on the stage that night, and we're going to see if that team strategy is able to neutralize William Zepeda. And like I said, everybody thinking about Shakur Stevenson in the back of their mind. You know what I'm saying? While they're watching this fight, I think the whole fight we're going to be sitting there picturing Shakur in these same scenarios that Tevin Farmer's in, and we're going to be like, well, is that going to work on Shakur, or is it going to work on Shakur? Right? But let's going into the fight though. Who you got moving forward with the window? Who do you think is going to do it? You think it's going to be William?
Hold on, am I on mute still?
No, I hear you.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I do think William Zepeda wins, but I think this fight is going, like I said, mentioned earlier. This actually is, believe it or not, a setup fight for William Zepeda to see how he does against a fighter that would be like a Shakur Stevenson if he does in that type of approach, or a slick style fighter, someone that has a very good movement, good defense. This is all set a pressure type fight for him. This is going to see how he does, if they're going to accept that fight with Shakur, if he's going to be able to make changes and adjustments to a type of fighter as a Shakur. At the end of the day, we have to see who really does come to the ring to win. I really do think Zepeda wins. One, it's a golden boy card. Two, like I said, I just think the onslaught changes. I think the punch count goes up as the rounds go up, and is Tevin Farmer going to do enough to stay out of the way of 50, 60 shots around, as Zepeda throws 100 around? That's where it comes down to. So Oh yeah, I got Zepeda.
No doubt, man. I do got Zepeda, man, but I'm not sleeping on Farmer. In a way, I'm rooting for Farmer, but really, I'm rooting for Zepeda as well. It's a fight where I'm down to see whoever wins. I ultimately, I'm not gonna lie to you, my own selfish boxing needs to see the fights that I want to see. I want to see William Zepeda in a conversation with Shakur Stevenson. I don't want to see Shakur against Tevin Farmer because I don't want to see him in front of somebody else who's trying to be slick like him, and that ultimately makes it to where the fight can be boring, right? Because Shakur's not the type of person to chase somebody down. Farmer is a type of person who can move around just like Shakur and make the fight boring. I want to see Shakur in there with a formidable opponent who's going to push Shakur to do something great. I want to see Shakur sell the value of him and Tank fighting each other. I want the fan base to see Shakur in a situation where he's in some sort of danger and a lot of danger and see how he's able to pull out of it. Him being able to really piece William Zepeda up, put him in a situation maybe like how Devin did Regis, or maybe even stopping, you know what I'm saying, Zepeda, which would be crazy. It would just move the market value up on the fights that Shakur that are there for Shakur to make in 135-pound division, even also picturing him fighting guys at 140 pounds and see how those fights may look. William Zepeda is a super formidable opponent. This is his Gustavo Lemos in many ways, the way Keyshawn Davis was able to capitalize on that moment and have that huge performance against Gustavo Lemos and move his market value. I think a great performance between William Zepeda and Shakur Stevenson. If Shakur Stevenson could put on that performance that Keyshawn did or anywhere close to it, I think we have an opportunity to see some huge fights now, because now it's incentivized. It's incentivized for big fighters like Shakur, like Tank Davis to get involved in the conversation. I think Ray Davis dipped out for a second. I think he's back in now. Ray, you good?
Yeah, I hit the wrong button, man. You know how that goes. Sometimes it just.
Yeah,
Go
no doubt,
ahead.
no doubt. Let's see here. Yo, shout out to Right-Handed downtown Brooklyn, man. Salute to you. I haven't seen you in a while, Right-Handed. He said, I agree. I want to see somebody put Shakur, come at him, cut the ring so he can show how great he is 100. That's a fact, man. And I think William Zepeda is got the ingredients. You know what I'm saying? He's got the attributes to do that. So I am rooting for William Zepeda in my own way. But at the same time, there's a part of me that wants to see Tevin Farmer come up a little bit. You know what I mean? He was in a close fight. His last fight with Raymond Moratala didn't get the decision. I don't think it was a robbery, but I think it was a super close fight. And you know, he's been trying to make this move to come back, and Turkey Al-Sheikh blessing him, or maybe Oscar or in Turkey together, whoever blessing him coming off a loss like that. This reminds me a little bit of the Nick Ball, when Nick Ball fought Ray Vargas on that first Turkey card, and a lot of people thought he won that fight and should have been a WBC champion, right? But then how did Turkey reward him? He said, man, I don't think the decision was right, or I think that fight was way more competitive. He put him back immediately into a title contention fight against Raymond Ford. Nick Ball was able to capitalize off that and become a champion, right? So this is another opportunity that's showing Turkey, showing that just because you lost doesn't mean your career is over. Great boxing deserves to be put on the biggest stages, and here he is putting him in another opportunity in some might call a title eliminator match. The winner of this fight being forecast to fight against Shakur Stevenson for his WBC title. So here he is back in the conversation, fighting a very tough fight, but another opportunity for Tevin. So a part of me wants to see Tevin be successful in that area, but then there's the other part of me that really wants to see William Zepeda fight Shakur Stevenson. So a little bit conflicted, but nonetheless, great boxing, right? Great boxing that we're going to see that night between those two gentlemen.
Right. And you know what's crazy? I like what Right-Handed downtown in Brooklyn said. It actually makes so much funny conversation. What if Tevin Farmer goes in there and win? That would be a good fight with him and Shakur. I think that's a battle of wits, a battle of styles, a battle of speed, and it changes that's a whole nother element of boxing that we'll come into. Do I think Tevin Farmer has what it takes to withstand the Shakur after watching the Moratala fight in most recent? I think that you have to look at things and be like, yo, like, you know what I mean? Both of these things are what they're supposed to be. I mean, like you have Zepeda, Matala, who was landing shots on Tevin Farmer. Tevin Farmer did his thing though. You know what I mean? Fighting a bigger fighter, able to move around the ring and make that guy uncomfortable. But he could do the same thing here with Zepeda and possibly even give Shakur a good run. It'd be nice to see something like that. That'd be cool. But at the end of the day, man, you know what I mean? Like I said, I see Zepeda winning this fight. I do see the fight with Shakur, but it will say a lot once this happens.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt, man. I agree with you 100%. I see Hunter Young. Hunter Young, maybe not the biggest fan of Turkey. I don't know. You know what I mean? Stop giving Turkey credit for giving low-hanging fruit an opportunity. These dudes are throw-in fights. Every promoter does that. Hey, man, it don't matter what the reason is. He gets an opportunity, and he gets an opportunity on a huge event. And I'm sure that that Tevin Farmer is going to get paid and compensated properly, right? This is an opportunity, however you want to paint it, for whatever reason, whether he's a fill-in fighter, whether just however you want to look at it, it's an opportunity for Tevin Farmer to perform on a big stage against one of the up-and-coming best fighters in the 135-pound division right now, number one in every single sanctioning body. Tevin Farmer has an opportunity in front of him, and he wouldn't necessarily get that opportunity if Turkey didn't put on this card and give Oscar De La Hoya an opportunity to showcase all of his fighters on a huge card where everybody's making money. So it is an opportunity. So I disagree with you, Hunter Young. I'm going to celebrate Turkey Al-Sheikh for doing these things because some of y'all favorite promoters aren't in position to do it, and they're not doing it. And when they were in position, these guys weren't getting the shine, right? So I'm going to celebrate him. He's doing his thing, man. Why wouldn't I do that? Why wouldn't I celebrate? Salute to 2 Cents Boxing in the building. Stormy B-Man, my OG. Stormy B-Man and Mac Majestic. Mac Majestic, salute to you, King. Glad to see you guys in the building, man. Communities coming together. Please remember to hit the like button as well. If you guys are in here, show love to the channel. Let's help this algorithm move up so more people can peep the content. And also, if you aren't subscribed to the channel, I'm going to encourage you and always invite you guys to make sure that happens. And definitely hit your bell icons as well so you're getting alerts when we're dropping these lives, right? Let's see here, man. So we're going to move the needle. William Zepeda, Tevin Farmer, great fight on that card, right? We're going to see that come together. Who else is fighting on that Turkey card? I'm going to talk about the cruiserweight fight, obviously, but there's another fight on that card that Arnold Barboza and Jose Ramirez. Maybe people aren't interested in that fight as much. Arnold Barboza has been sitting there as a mandatory on that WBO sanctioning body. I think he's holding an interim title in that division, if I'm correct. Am I right, Ray? Isn't he holding like an interim title?
Yeah, he's a WBO interim. He's actually the mandatory. It has been a mandatory for quite some time for
Right.
Teofimo, and that's weird that the WBO hasn't ordered that fight. Usually, and they've been tough on that too. You know what I mean? I guess if there's reasoning behind it, they just don't force it. I mean, I know he had that mental issue one time, and something else came up, so. But they let him have other fights, which is weird. So they have a way of getting around it. What's up, 2 Cents? What's going on?
Salute. Yeah, at the end of the day, Arnold Barboza has been sitting in this position for a long time, you know what I mean? And hunting down, let's be honest, Teofimo Lopez, and Teofimo always seeming to be in the wrong side of the conversation. And I'm not throwing shots at him, but just to say that I don't see him pushing to make certain fights, right? I see him pushing to make the biggest fights he can make, but I don't know how realistic they are. But meanwhile, in a division like this, where somebody like Arnold Barboza is a mandatory, he won't fight him. And I mean, I'm hearing him pushing. We'll talk about him a little later as well, as far as his negotiations with Devin Haney is concerned, and his issues with Bob Arum is concerned, and how it seems like those things are conflicting and getting in the way of him getting involved in some real competitive fights. But Arnold Barboza and Jose Ramirez also coming up, a new signee to both these guys, by the way, I think just got signed to Golden Boy Promotions this year, I believe, or like towards the end of last year. I think like right around that Ryan Garcia, Oscar Duarte fight is when both these guys pretty much got signed, right around that time period. And they're both trying to make a run for a title shot. Arnold Barboza's last performance, I can't remember the guy's name, something McCrory. Do you remember what I'm talking about? The Irish guy?
Yeah. Right. It was an Irishman, and go ahead, talk about it.
Yeah, he got his ass whooped, right? Let's be honest. He got his ass whooped. A decision that I think one of the robberies of the year, right? This robbery was in the same conversation of O'Shaquie, Foster, and Conceição, the first one, right?
And not to mention it was the week before the Hitchens fight, which also was a weird robbery that we all seen happen in the ring. So it was like back to back, all three of those fights.
Right, exactly. You know what I'm saying? So he gets a chance at redemption as well. And Jose Ramirez also in his last performance was pretty lackluster. Wasn't really a fight. Well, Jose Ramirez won the fight, but I mean I think did he get dropped in that fight? I'm trying to remember, but I know he was definitely getting pieced up for sure in that fight. You know what I'm saying?
I think so. I believe so. Jose Ramirez did get put on his pockets. Yeah, he got set in his pockets.
Right in that fight, right? Let me pull it up. Let's not
speculate.
Yeah, these YouTube streets is unforgiving, bro. And if you don't
have your facts straight,
you have your facts straight, it can go bad for you real quick. You know what I mean? People throw it in your face forever. Remember when you was lying? When you lied and said Jose Ramirez, you lied.
Got sat on his pockets.
Why should we believe you now?
Guess what? Yeah, right.
Why should we believe you now? You remember? Like, oh Lord.
Yeah. That's what happens sometimes.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find it.
I mean,
here it goes. Is this it right here? No, this is not it. Dude, I cannot find.
Was it Comey?
Oh, I'm trying to find it. Is it not Jose? Am I saying is it not Jose Ramirez? Is his name not Jose Ramirez? Am I tripping? I don't know. I can't find the homie. It is what it is. And both of these guys coming off lackluster performances, and they get an opportunity right now to put themselves back in the conversation in the right way, right? A victory between these guys removes one guy out the way, and justice will be served as they believe one of these guys they believe both of these guys questionably don't even belong in the position that they're in. So one of these guys neutralize each other, knock them out the way, and the other guy gets to hopefully get right into a title shot. We don't know what Teofimo plans on doing. So we don't know if he plans on vacating, defending the title at some point. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, that's like I said, we're going to talk about that a little later because that might be the conversation everybody wants to be a part of and talk about as well. Salute to Echo in the building. You know what I mean? Salute to Bruce Gas Boxing. I hope you guys are still here to tap into that panel as well. What else we got going on, man? I'm really freestyling. I didn't write anything. I had to go get some blood drawn this morning. I'm just busy morning for me.
Oh man.
No, not that, just regular physical stuff. I'm a truck driver, so we got to stay on point. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
It's regular stuff, you know what I mean? Regular stuff.
The regular stuff, right.
That's all it is, man. That's all it is. What we supposed to do. That's what we out here doing. Let's see here. And I want to also talk about the Robeisy Ramirez and Rafael Espinoza fight coming up as well. That's in December, actually, though, early December. But that's a fight I think really deserves a lot of light. I think that's going to be one of the big fights. I want to see that sequel, man. Robeisy Ramirez really, real dominating 126 pounder Olympian in the game, and came up short that night against Rafael Espinoza. Rafael Espinoza ever since has defended his title, but also in the conversation of moving to 130. But this is going to be a huge fight, bro. This is going to be a huge fight. You paying attention to that fight at all?
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to watch that fight with these guys. So just to touch base with you, he fought Rances Bartholomew.
That's who it was.
Last fight. And he sat him on his pockets. Yeah, he looked like he was about to get his face beat in, but just wanted to throw that out there.
100%. Thank you, man. I knew it was something. That's who it was. Yep. Let's see here. Let me see here. Damn, was trying to throw some color in the chat, but YouTube bugging. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with YouTube, bro. Yeah, they got the Cash App right there as well, bro. I don't know what's going on with YouTube and StreamYard, bro. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what's going on with YouTube and StreamYard. You there, Ray?
Yeah, I'm here, man. I'm here. I was just, getting back here. Why? What happened? Are we blocked out again?
No, we good. We good to go. We good to go, man. I just didn't hear from you. I didn't hear you, and I didn't know what's going on. Everything's acting like people trying to put super chats in, and now this shit is acting weird. You guys can refresh Cash App too.
Maybe they can refresh the super chat. So basically, just so somebody got to exit, go back in and see if it allows it to happen. Basically, or refresh their YouTube and then go in there and try it.
Yeah, and there's a Cash App as well on the screen if
And
you guys want to use a Cash App. So,
and in all due respect, if I do see King or hear from King, if he is listening, I mean, he's more than likely to come up here like everybody else. He has some good inputs on some things, but yeah, I don't know if Clay even talks to King, but I might know
no,
some
no.
people that may get in contact with him to Orlando and you want
Something
to
wrong with him
debate
or
him.
something?
I don't know. He said, Claymore, where's King been at? That's all.
Oh,
I
okay,
just
yeah.
reading the chat.
Okay, no doubt, no doubt. Yeah, Rafael Espinoza. I mean, we can talk about that a little later. Let's just get into the Devin Haney and Teofimo nonsense. Let's
Right.
go ahead and get into it. It is what it is, right? So, rumorville has it that Teofimo and Devin Haney were in negotiations, right? My brother Blue Blood actually spoke to some people who were real close to the situation, and basically what was put out there was that Devin Haney's team was trying to reach out and make something happen with Teofimo. It's not the first time they try to put fights together with Teofimo. You guys know that all the way since 135 pounds. Devin Haney's been trying to fight Teofimo when he was trying to become undisputed. He tried to fight Teofimo at the same time when they got up to 140. I believe Turkey Al-Sheikh got involved in the conversation, may have put some money on the table and had interest on putting that fight together as a super fight between Teofimo and Devin Haney, and Teofimo moved away from that opportunity as well. And then now it looks like they're back at it again, trying to make some sort of a unification title fight, because I think Devin Haney's still a champion in recess at 140 with that WBC title, and trying to make a fight happen between Teofimo for that WBO title. But once again, Teofimo seems to be pushing against the fight from happening. This time, it looks like the scapegoat's going to be Bob Arum. It looks like Teofimo is trying to get away from Bob Arum, get out of that top rank situation. He hasn't been getting paid as much money as he wants to get paid. He thinks he's owed a lot more money. He thinks he's a big pay-per-view star, and he doesn't think Top Rank's been pushing his brand the right way. So it looks like that negotiation or that inner business drama going on between Teofimo and Bob Arum might be the scapegoat reason, or the reason why Teofimo is being a little bit more resistant to the idea of fighting Devin Haney right now as well. I mean, what's your perspective on the situation at this point?
I think that the way that he that the Teo moves is that he just never wanted to fight certain fighters for styles, and been very reluctant. When those styles presented themselves in the ring with Teofimo, we see them struggle. But he also rises to the occasion when he is fighting another superstar. He's always been that guy to step up. I just don't think Teo has an interest in fighting a Devin Haney or fighting anyone of that nature to make this type of fight happen. Again, Devin's been trying to fight him since before he unified, when he had the IBF and they were trying to unify the IBF with, and he took the fight with Loma. After he won the titles, he tried to unify again. Teofimo said no, he's going to fight his mandatory, which is Kambosos for the IBF. Then finally, we seen what happened when Kambosos upset Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo has been such a shell of himself since then, and I don't know what's going on, bro. That guy's just, I mean, you heard what he said, man. He put Bud Light to boxing, so. So
Yeah.
if he feels like he deserves more, man, at the end of the day, you know what I mean? And should I say this, Clay? Can I just throw this out there? Teofimo's acting like a spoiled stepchild. I'll tell you why. Did Bob not give him one of the greatest ring entrances and greatest ring performances that you ever seen coming into the ring with the showman thing? When he came in there, he looked like the guy from the movie. I don't know what the name of the movie was. I forgot. It probably was
Circus
called The
movie.
Showman.
Right.
Yeah,
Whatever circus
yes.
movie was,
But
whatever it was.
wasn't that one of the best? That was one of the best entrances I've seen in boxing this year. And I think that's a lot. That's a lot in itself to have somebody put money out for you like that, and turn around and get slapped in the face and get sued because you don't feel that you're being paid well. I mean, you re-signed that contract. You didn't have to re-sign that contract a couple years, or extend your contract rather. When you were in your last fight, you chose to do that. You're not honoring it because you want to be in the same picture and same places as other fighters, as you call them, other words, but you want to be in those situations. Then you start calling these guys out, and these guys are like, "Yo, what have you done for me lately?" Right? All you do is cause ruckus. Your dad out there talks a lot. And when people do approach you with fights, you always have excuses of why you're not going to fight them, and then you fight guys like Claggett and Steve Claggett. So You know, that's what it comes down to, Clay. And you don't perform well, so people don't want to put their interest into you until you start showing. And Bob laid the egg for you with Steve Claggett. I don't understand that. At the end of
Right.
the day, so if you I can't, bro. Let me not go into this because I'm going off topic. Let's
No doubt.
keep
No,
it
let me shout
moving,
out.
bro.
I want to shout out Ron Coates right quick for hitting the Cash App. Little support right here. I can't. A little $5 holler from Ron Coates. I'm trying to get it to tune into it, but yeah, shout out Ron Coates says. Ron Coates says. Keep on pushing, bro. No doubt, Ron Coates. I appreciate you, RC. Salute, King. Yeah, look, man, with the TO situation, I've always had a perspective on T.O.'s career and how ever since he fought Lomachenko, he just never seemed to be able to focus on the prize, right? And the prize being on staying active. If you know, I remember when Jay-Z said, he had an interview he did a long time ago, right? A long time ago, but they talked about, Jay, how'd you feel the first time you heard your song hit the radio? I know you guys must have been celebrating. You guys finally made it. And Jay said, man, I got nervous. You know what I'm saying? I knew what was in front of me. They were like, what you was nervous for? He said, he knew it was right then in that moment, it was time to follow up with way more music. He had to take that opportunity that everybody was finally paying attention to him, that everybody was looking for more product from him, and he had to be consistent. He had to use this opportunity to be consistent in order to blow up, to be the star that he is today. And I think Teofimo, in my opinion, dropped the ball a little bit when it comes to this point, because once he did what he did with Lomachenko, it seemed like he kind of immediately picked up on I'm a Star, and he immediately wanted to go on the biggest shows for the biggest paydays, right? So he passed up on Devin Haney. He went into a fight with Kambosos that maybe was a little bit, some people might consider that a little bit of a cherry pick, or a little bit of, like, you know, convenient matchmaking, you know what I'm saying, being made there, and he fell short, right? Kambosos ended up beating him, and then he went into his little, at that point, went into his little rant and his little complaining and crying about how he deserved to have more, how he didn't feel like they treated him right. Top Rank, of course, didn't treat him right after that fight. Maybe he thought they should have given him an immediate rematch, which I heard they did, and he just didn't take it. That he decided to move up to 140 at that point, and then he did the little I'm retiring thing. You know what I'm saying? After he had a decent little fight, he decided he was going to retire. Then he came back again. They gave a lackluster performance against Sandor Martin. Then he went, complained at the end of that fight. You know what I'm saying? And then went, won that fight, then went in there with Josh Taylor, gave a great fight. We wanted to see more Teofimo. He started on his nonsense again. You know what I'm saying? And then at one point even spoke towards the idea of, you know, I'm going to let the matchmakers at Top Rank take care of my career. I'm just focused on being active. I got excited to see that. I'm like, all right, he's going to be active. Boom, he lines up a fight with Jermaine Ortiz. I'm like, this is great. Jermaine Ortiz is a great contender. You know what I mean? Jermaine Ortiz coming off a great fight with Lomachenko. He brings that pedigree. A lot of boxing fans were excited to see that fight. But then again, there he goes again, chasing Jermaine Ortiz around the ring, not cutting the ring off, showing that he had flaws in his game, not showing a real strategy that was going to be able to handle a boxer puncher like Jermaine Ortiz. He won that fight regardless. A lot of people pushed back again and said they thought he lost that fight. And then he goes into a Steve Claggett fight. A Steve Claggett fight that most of us was wondering who Steve Claggett was. Everybody said that was going to be a tune-up, stay busy fight. And Steve Claggett almost shut both of his eyes, right? Putting hands all on him. Now, he beat Steve Claggett. You know, an exciting fight in its own right. It was a very competitive fight. But here he goes again now, pushing back at the machine, looking like he's blaming Bob Arum or blaming everybody as to why he's not where he wants to be. He wants to be the big pay-per-view star. He wants to make this happen. And now he's turning down fights, right? He's a WBO champion in a division that's really an exciting division. A lot of fighters in that division, and he's looking for all the biggest fights outside of the division. He wants to fight Terrence Crawford. He wants to fight Brian Norman. He wants to fight, you know, he's saying all these names. He wants to fight Ryan Garcia. You know, and he doesn't want to fight anybody in his division, and it looks like he wants Top Rank to like finance and support him on this move. But these fights don't look like they're coming to fruition. Terrence Crawford doesn't look interested in making the fight happen, and it's not that he doesn't look interested. I think he's pretty much kept it 100 and said he has no benefits on fighting on fighting T.O. He's not going to fight him, and you got fights right there in your division that you're not pushing to make happen. You're not trying to unify. You're not trying to become undisputed. You're not trying to fight who's right there. You could fight Sabril Matias. You could fight Liam Paro. You could fight Devin Haney. You could fight Antoine Russell. You can fight so many people in that division, and you're just choosing to look outside of the division. And now rumors are that he's trying to get out of Top Rank. And also, we got to remember that Henry Garcia also said that they were looking to fight Ryan Garcia in April, right? I don't know if you guys heard that as well. So a lot going on with Teofimo, and I just, in my opinion, don't think that Bill Haney really should be trying to make a fight with Teo right now. I think it's just asking for unnecessary. I don't know. Maybe they're looking to promote and get the attention around Devin, but I would never believe that this fight is a realistic fight that's going to be made, because Teo's always jumped in the way of this fight happening from my perspective.
Right. And can I really throw something else out there? I think just in general, I think Bill is trying to make this fight because I think it's a battle of Bill and Teo Senior. For some reason, they have the real beef. They're the ones really standing behind everything, and they look like they be going at each other, and they want to they should get in the ring. I'm being honest with you. Because, I mean, they really be throwing shots at each other, like really hardcore, like, yo, I don't like you, you don't like me. And I think it just trickled down to the kids. I mean, the kids have their history or whatever, but it just seems like that just got really nasty. And now the kids are like really just trying to fight. They're just trying to make paydays. And the fathers look like they're making it, like they're spoiling it. It's like you have two kids that play the same position on the football team, and the fathers are in the stands cheering them on. Like, my son's better, and this guy saying my son's better. And they just keep going at it, and they both get there, and you know how the drunk dads be in the stands, and then they start fighting themselves, and everybody stop playing football, and they're looking at these two goofballs up in the stands. That's what this situation looked like to me. I think Teo's more embarrassed the way his dad reacts to certain things, and I think that this Devin fight scares him. It always has. And I just don't think that he's ready for this fight. I don't even think Devin should be even taking a risky fight like this coming back without a tune-up. But hey, whatever works for both fighters, let it happen. Let it be known. I support it either way. It's boxing at the end of the day. And hey, I'd rather see two of the four kings get back in the ring, and that just puts a number up on one of them.
100%. I agree with you, and I agree with you on the tune-up thing as well. I think there's fighters are just missing that activity, man. And somebody like Devin, coming off of a hard fight with Ryan Garcia, to say the least. Yeah, I would like to see him in a tune-up. Shout out to Jackie Hernandez with the $50 holler supporting the chat, man. I appreciate you, Queen.
Thank you, Jackie. For real, salute, Queen, and thank you so much.
That's definitely love right there. 100%.
And super chats are working, people.
Yeah, 100%. That's evidence of it right there. Let's see what's going on in the chat here. I see everybody going at it right now. A whole lot of engagement going on in the chat. The chat, you know what I mean? It is what it is. I don't know. I guess they're trying to run.
Leave it out there in the peanut gallery.
Yeah. I'm reading it. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna leave this stuff right where it's at. I was looking at it, and I'm like, I'm gonna leave it right there.
No disrespect anybody in the chat, man. But we still want to be a part of that, man.
Yeah, we're gonna let y'all have that, man. Salute to you guys, man.
To everybody.
Get it out your system so we open the panel up. You ain't got to bring it up here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, y'all can come up. Y'all, look, we'll let y'all super chat and go at it, right? Did we decide that, Clay? Y'all can have at it. Y'all want to super chat it.
You gotta do the entertainment for some money. Let me shout out Boxing Hacker for the $10 holler, showing that the super chat is still definitely in effect. Boxing Hacker says Teofimo and Ryan are trying to attach their name to the top black fighters. Ryan don't want to fight Boots, and Teo ain't seeing Crawford. Devin versus Teo would be a great fight for Devin. Dev wins. Shout out to Boxing Hacker. Yeah, I definitely agree. I think there is something to be said as far as the fights that can be made versus the fights that can't be made. And I know people their immediate instincts are to kick in and speak about Terrence Crawford's and his mission to go ahead and fight Canelo Alvarez, right?
No.
And I do think it's different. I'm going to tell you one really stuck out difference in between Terrence Crawford and Teofimo. Terrence Crawford is ready to be done with boxing. He's made his biggest fights. He's made the money. He's happy and content with where he's at with his career. So he's willing to walk over into the sunset if he doesn't get what he wants and go and take care of his family. But he's looking to make a big fight for himself, his own legacy. Now, Canelo Alvarez has definitely turned down the fight and made it public on different interviews on how he's not interested in the fight. But then again, Terrence Crawford is not sitting there constantly calling Canelo out and racially trying to trigger him and meet up with Canelo where he frequents at to try to confront him and try to make fights happen. He's not doing that as well, right? He's willing to wait it out. And I'm going to say that Terence Crawford, for me, has always been somebody who I've considered an intelligent person. I know people don't like to give him those accolades. They think that his business mentality has gotten in his way, where I think him taking the helm of his business is what got him the big fight with Earl and got him that big payday. But we can agree to disagree on that point. But just to say that we don't know what's going on. We don't know that Turkey and Canelo aren't still in conversations of potentially putting this fight together, because Canelo's also in the same chapter of his career where he's on his way out the door and he's looking to make the biggest paydays. And if it makes sense, if Turkey's the one who's going to facilitate Canelo's biggest payday or one of his biggest paydays to fight somebody who Canelo already thinks he's going to beat, you never know how that situation can turn out. But that's between Terence and Canelo to figure out. But as far as Teofimo is concerned, this guy is supposed to be making something happen of his career. He's not ready to retire. He's not made over $1 million, or if he's done it, very close to $1 million, a little over $1 million. He hasn't made his biggest payday. He's never even been on a pay-per-view. So activity is going to either help him or it's going to hurt him because he's not being active, right? Sitting here wasting his time, spinning his wheels, trying to make fights with people who are on their way out the door, who won't fight them, who not only doesn't want to fight them because they don't see nothing in it for them, but aren't too happy about being triggered on a racial level, just are going to, in spite, are not going to fight him. And then you got fighters in your generational talent pool like Devin Haney, who want to make a fight with you. It seemed like those fights are more realistic. Even with Brian Norman at 140 pounds, that would have been at 147 pounds, that would have been a more realistic fight to put together, right? That would have gave him a title in another division. He would have had an opportunity to compete up there, and maybe even made an argument to challenge Terence Crawford at 154, maybe. Right? But he seems stagnant. He's held up. And now moving against Bob Arum and everything that they're doing, I don't see how this is benefiting Teofimo. How long is he going to sit on the shelf? Is he going to try to do like a Mikey Garcia? You know what I'm saying? Sit there and just sit on the shelf until everything gets ironed out, then make his little return? I don't know. Maybe that'll work out for him, right? But it is what it is when it comes down to it. What's going on here in the chat?
A lot.
Yeah, I'm reading. I see it. It's just going and going and going, but they going back and forth. 100 yards.
Listen, let them have it, bro. I'm just laughing.
Okay, I see.
I ain't gonna lie to you, man. Look, it's a lot of different things going on at once, man. Like I said, I respect everybody in the chat, man. As funny as it may sound, or as much as it seems like we going at people, we don't, man. We just trying to facilitate some boxing information out to y'all and have some conversations, man. If y'all want to, you know what I mean? If y'all ever want to contribute, like I said, y'all can have this fun up there as long as it stays proper. Y'all can donate a super chat and have a nice friendly debate. We'll let y'all entertain the people out here, but y'all keep it in the chat, man. Keep it going. But what you just touched on with the whole sweepstakes of T.O. and Ryan, I mean, it's actually funny because they're actually talking about similar things in the chat. The Ryan situation is, and he gets defended for his nanograms or whatever the case may be, right? Mm-hmm. Which is crazy because how many milligrams are in a Tylenol? So if a nanogram is a certain amount, right? I think it's 1 billion. Milligram is 1 million. So if he's able to have 6 nanograms, which is past the legal, 6 times the legal limit, obviously it has some effect because a Tylenol sure as hell will knock a headache out your ass in about 2 hours, right? If you take it. So imagine what that'll do in a couple of hours if you put that in your system. People have to stop with the reaching on that whole Ostarine situation. Now back to the other part of it with Teofimo that you mentioned. Teofimo is out there. He's a head case. He's out there. He's looking for different ways of putting his name in the magic and trying to get these fights going on amongst himself against bigger fighters. He just believes that he wants, like you said, Bob Arum, he wants to iron stuff out and get that out the way, but it doesn't seem like they're on the same playing field. I don't think Bob's really holding Teo back. I think Teo's holding himself back. Like I said, I think he gave him a layup and he fumbled on kicking the ball out of bounds before he scored the winning basket. And I think Bob is like, yo, man, I'm sorry, bro. I gave you the guy. I even brought a guy down from 147, weight drained him. You should have beat him. He's a come forward guy, and all you had to do is just put him on his pockets. And you couldn't even do that. But then you want me to come out here and give you a bag. Bro, you're not pulling your own weight around here. And I get it. But, Teal's like, yo, man, you set me up. You gave me this guy. This guy punches hard. I didn't know he was going to do like this. And now my nose is bigger, whatever the case may be, blah, 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 blah. And Again, at the end of the day, man, we got to look at it for what it is, Clay. This is just something that's just going, and we're going to see something bad happen because it's more. This is a case of legacy versus money, and we're seeing the bad things come out when it becomes money involved, as opposed to legacy. When these guys go after legacy, we see great things happen. We see money get involved. We see this shit, and unfortunately, this is what's bad for boxing. Unfortunately, I'm sorry.
Yeah, man. I agree with you 100%. When the legacy gets out the way and it becomes about money, boxing suffers. You know what I'm saying? Boxing suffers. Maybe the boxers get the most money they ever got. Maybe those type of things happen, but boxing suffers because the fights aren't happening. And then when they are happening, a lot of the times they're not in their prime in the right timing. You know what I mean? And I always say boxing is about the timing as well. The matchmaking has a lot to do with these guys fighting at the right time when they're their best. People complain and push back at the Lomachenko and Tank fight a little bit just off the strength of Tank, being in his prime and Lomachenko, kind of being aged out a little bit. They're going to push back at the ideas of this. Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, a fight that was aged out, just did not happen in time. Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence almost looked like it was damn near about to be aged out. Some people might have considered it aged out, being that Errol Spence really at some point probably should have moved to 154 and probably stayed at 147 a little too long, right? Maybe the fight wasn't dropped at the right time. Not to say it was the fighter's fault, but the promoters and the people interested in or vested in making the money sometimes push these fights outside of that window that we as the fans will see the best fight the best. So Teofimo right now playing the way he's playing, kind of taking himself out of the conversation of fighting some of the generational talent that's around him, whether it be Shakur Stevenson, whether it be Devin Haney, whether it be Keyshawn Davis, whether it be Liam Paro or Sabril Matias, whether it be a Brian Norman, a Jerome Boots Ennis, great fights that could be happening. Activity would help push his career a lot more than, in my opinion, what he's doing. But maybe, I'm not here to tell him how to do his business. If he's securing the bag this way, it is what it is. But as us as the boxing fans don't really, in my opinion, benefit off of none of this, right? We're not benefiting off of none of this. So I hope he figures it out. Hope he finds somebody to fight, and I hope the next fight he fight isn't a Claggett. You know what I'm saying? I hope he's able to you know what I'm trying to say? I'm hoping it's against somebody that we want to see. You know what I mean? I don't want to see him in with a Claggett, because that's what happens, right? Because at the end of the day, Claggett's going to take the money that Shakur would never take, that Devin would never take, that none of these guys would take, and that puts more money in T.O.'s pocket, right? When he's done with Bob Arum. So I don't know what he plans on doing after Bob Arum as well, right? Like, so you're leaving Bob Arum to go where? What's the game plan after you leave Bob Arum? Are you going to go to Oscar? Is Oscar going to get you paid now?
Ooh, nope.
Right?
I'm gonna tell you why that doesn't work out. Because who has Oscar been trying to get T.O. to fight for the last 2 years? Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, he's on that card. Thank you. Yes. So you think he's going to give him that Ryan fight without defending that title against that guy that he's been trying to get him to fight for 2 years? Absolutely not.
I think he
Tio's been staying away from that. Tio's been staying away from that guy. He don't want no wreck with that kid, man. We see that in the after fight of his last fight, one of those fights against Jermaine Ortiz fight. When he ran in the ring and he was like, I ain't messing with this guy, and he ran in the restaurant down on Tio. Yeah, man. Yeah.
No doubt. Yeah, man. I think that I don't know what he's being promised. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, Henry Garcia said that's what Ryan is trying to put together. And I think Ryan and, Oscar's more so trying to support Ryan more than he did in the past, because I think that's just didn't work out for him as great as he would want it to have worked out when him and Ryan were headbutting each other. Now they seem to be on the same page. Oscar makes money when Ryan makes money. So I don't know how that'll go, right? But I don't know what Teofimo's big plan is. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he plans on going to Matchroom. Would it be hilarious to see Tio over there with Eddie Hearn? You know what I'm saying? Working on making Eddie Hearn's matchmakers put fights together for him. We have no idea. Clark. Salute Ross Clark in the building. Salute AJ Moore in the building. You know what I'm saying? So we don't know. You know what I mean? But ultimately, I hope he figures it out a lot sooner than later, because boxing is continuing to move. And like I've said before about other fighters who are holding their brand hostage in the hopes that these boxing promotional teams are going to give them bigger paydays or treat them better or whatever it have you. As to whatever reason they're holding up their careers, boxing's going to continue to move, and it'd be a damn shame for it to move on without you, for big fights to be made without you, for legacy to be there without you. And by the time you get in a conversation, you're dealing with fighters who have gotten 10 times, 20 times better than they were when you could have fought them a year or 2 years before, and now they're beating you. You're old, you're slower, you're not as athletic, you're not as, fighting styles like Teofimo, that's a youthful style, right? That athleticism he used and that movement he uses when he's in the ring, that's an athletic type of style that he brings to the table. And we all know power's the last thing to go, but movement and athleticism is one of the first things to start going. So I don't want him to age himself out of his best years in boxing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So hopefully it all works out for him. At this point, though, I think we are going to open up the panel a little bit. You know what I mean? What do you think? Is there anything that we didn't talk about?
Yeah, I say let it. Yeah, let these guys come up. They can ask questions. We can try to answer it. Some of the questions, or they can speak on things that they believe. You know what I mean? And we can rebuttal or not rebuttal, or give support or not give support. You know what I mean? Based on what it is.
Right,
absolutely.
right.
And
No
the
doubt.
first one up is Echo. Boom.
Yeah. The link is out there, guys. If you feel like building is good, let me see here. Blaze Pound for Pound is in the building. So out to Blaze.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Blaze in there cooking.
Yo, Blaze.
Yeah, they in there cooking, bro.
I'm from the west to northwest. Actually, Seattle, Washington.
Oh,
I'm up here in the corner.
I hear that accent. I'm like, yo, I hear that accent. I've been trying to figure it out. I'm like, he's on some Los Angeles, Northern California, but kind of close on Washington. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing well, man. And just getting up hearing y'all cook.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Salute, pound for pound.
No doubt. And salute to the OG, to the scholar amongst the gentlemen, Echo from across the pond, making his presence. I think we got that right time window for Echo. How you doing, Echo?
I'm good. How's everybody?
Good, Echo.
Definitely doing.
How's the abscess is even better today? You talking right from the gate.
Well, we'll see.
It's coming together, though. It sounds like it's coming together. I mean, maybe it's not fully there yet, but it looks like it's heading in the right direction.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
That's a good thing. God is good, man. Let's see here. Let's see. Boxing's worldwide. There's boxing every week. Keep boxing alive. No doubt, Champ Ross, for sure, man. We got to talk about it. We got to talk about it. Echo, you're on the other side of the pond. What's going on over there in England, man? Any big fights that we're missing out on that we're not thinking about or talking about that are going on over there?
No, nothing.
Okay, good. I don't want to miss it. I try to stay up to speed, but I don't have Skybox. I got to look into getting Skybox over here so I can get access to some of the stuff.
I actually have a question for Echo. Sean McCombs. I mean, we already know what his record was. How was he treated? I know he's an Irishman, not really a Brit or Englishman. But Sean McCombs, how was his reception for the Barbosa fight? The last time he was out here, rather.
It was just fair. Really, wasn't really nothing exceptional. I mean, the thing is, a lot of these guys are not really that well known anyway. Really, it's like I could mention him now. I could walk around my street now and talk somebody. Do you know this guy? And they wouldn't even know who he is. So,
wow. So you telling me that Oscar's picking up cab drivers, Clay, and putting them in a ring with his fighters? That's what it sounds like. Hey, we're just moving from overseas since that seems to be the movement. We'll just throw him in the ring and call it a day. That guy's a nobody. He put in work like that. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, he did put the work in, man. That's 100%. Ross Scott said, I can't jump on right now. I'm watching Lamont Roach fights, and I think he's going to beat Tank Davis, guys. This isn't a cherry pick. I was wrong.
So he's not a bum. Okay. I like it.
Yeah, good luck with that.
He never was a bum. You know what I'm saying? He never was a bum. Lamont Roach is the best at 130. I see why Tank picked him.
Good luck with that.
Well, Ross Scott said, I will never criticize Tank again. I agree, man. I kind of jumped on that. Listen, man, I've jumped on that train as well a little bit, man. Like I'm done. Listen, bro, I'm not going to push. I'm going to stop putting all this pressure on Tank. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to stop asking him to do all this stuff. I'm being unfair. You know, I get it, and I'm gonna stop, bro. I'm gonna stop, and I'm gonna wait like everybody else is waiting, bro. And I'm gonna be happy with whatever I get. Whatever I get,
Clay, you're not being unfair. Trust me.
I'm gonna Oh, but I was gonna say I'm being fair. I'm gonna just listen to the naysayers and not say his name. I mean, again, like I said yesterday, I respect what they're asking. Don't say his name. Don't call him out. I'm not never did. You know what I mean? I always just wanted to just make him see him have the best fights. You know what I mean? Fight the best. I'm not saying he hasn't fought good talent or because they all fought good talent. It's just everybody likes to pick and choose who's the talent pool. These guys are all professionals. They're all sanctions. They all have wins under their belts. So it's not like they're going out there fighting, as Roscoe would say, bums. We may see them as bums because we're not used to seeing them, or they may have a loss or a blemish on their record. But they could be journeymen. They could be gatekeepers. They could be anybody. Somebody from around the block that just happen to have a lot of wins on their resume. At the end of the day, they're all professionals, man. And I don't want to lean hard on pause on anybody not participating in boxing. They're participating. They're doing their thing. It's a deadly sport. You can easily die in the ring, and I respect what they do, man. At the end of the day, that goes for Tank, Tio. I ain't gonna say the other guy's name. Devin, Shakur, Keyshawn, all the way up to the Charlo brothers and down to the Inoways, man. Like I respect it all, even the Ben Rodriguez's and Chocolatitos.
Yeah, I would say I've been looking at old school fights. I've just been looking at fights, just old school. And what I would say is like, or like, can you have it both ways? Either when you get to the highest level, you get ranked inside these sanctioned bodies, you win belts and become a champion, and then you people fight you, and because you don't have a name or whatever, it's like they don't get the credit. Like that's what I'm just thinking. Where it'd be like, hey, they're saying Tank doesn't have high level competition, but he's fought champions. He's fought for those titles. He's fought at the highest level. My only thing with Tank is like what everybody else is. I got a little more patience for expectations that I have for him. Like his time is now. Like while everybody's saying he should have fought this and should have fight and should have fought this person, should have fought that person. I'm like, right now, yeah, I'm expecting him to fight the best. And unfortunately, exactly right now, when he went for who was the best at 135, it wasn't there for him. So the next fight, when Shakur gets healthy and he ain't in another title, I'm expecting him to call him out. I'm expecting him to unify the title with whoever's at 135. That's my expectations that I have for Tank. So it's just everybody's like, oh, he didn't fight this or he fight that. And then it's just like, or like with Bud. Bud beat like 10 champions, if I'm not mistaken. And he's
Right.
two-time undisputed, right? And he goes up to 154 and beats somebody with a title, a very good fighter.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, it's crazy. And then like, because when I go back and watch these old school fighters and all that, like you said, it didn't matter if you had a loss or not. You feel me? The greatest had losses, and they was phenomenal fighters. I went back and watched Leonard. I went back and looked at Carl Froch. I went back and looked at. I've been looking at boxers. Go back and look at Roy. Go back and look at all these different fighters who actually fought and bang it out. And we're all twisted in our heads where it's like if you got a loss or something, or
It's the end of
you
your
know,
career.
or if you like people got titles and because you're not popular, you're not getting no respect in the boxing world. Like that's where I'm at. Like I'm pushing a hard line now for anybody who rises up in any weight division and got a belt and then is defending that belt. It's like, man, fuck what you talking about. You saying he ain't good or saying he a bum and all that. There's there's thousands of boxers all over the world, and they all be in these sanctioned bodies. And you rise
Right.
to champion, man, that shit should mean something, man. Like real talk, especially casuals and people who don't even lace up gloves, who's scared to be in like street fights. You feel me? Is gonna sit on here and tweet and comment and post about cats really getting in the ring, putting it together.
Right.
You know
There
what I'm
you
saying? Like
go. Hey,
it don't make sense to me.
Blaze, let
Right.
me give you some horn. Let me give you some horns on that, man. That was some good intel, man. I like that. I like how you broke that down. And much respect to that. Clay, let's hit this man with some horns, man. That was a great acknowledgement of what boxing should be about, man. Salute to you, bro. That was nice.
No doubt, no doubt. Let's bring in some other people in the building as well. Echo and the boxing realist. Is that your name on the chat? Is this just the realist, or is I don't know if I've ever seen you on a panel before. Salute to you, King. How you doing? Is he there? I think his mute button's on. Your mute button's on. If you are talking, I don't hear you. I'm probably gonna. All right, we're just gonna move past you and just go to Echo. But I mean, we can go to the panels while Echo kind of already spoken. We can just talk about, bring a topic up, and let's build on it. You know what I mean? I guess the big topic right now is Teofimo and Devin Haney. There's a lot of fights going on this weekend. What would we rather talk about today, gentlemen? Would you like to talk about these fights, or we talk about Teofimo and Devin Haney not fighting? What do we? Go ahead, Echo.
I just want to say that people are too concerned about people keep winning and not fighting the best people and not fighting enough. People are only fighting maybe once, twice a year, as on average, really. Some people are not even fighting every year. I believe, I mean, you think about it, 3 times a year, that's a fight every 4 months. You should be able to recuperate from that, from a hard fight. Obviously, if you get really seriously hurt, like somebody that, like Errol Spence, obviously you can understand why he wouldn't come back so quick. But there's no excuse for anybody else.
Right.
If you break a bone, right, in 8 weeks it mends, and it mends stronger than it did before.
Right.
There's no excuse for anybody not, unless they've got even detached retinas, like whatever they when people have eye surgery or whatever, they're quickly overcome as well, unless it's really bad. But they're not something to keep out of the ring for 2 years or a year. Not at all. And everybody's scared to lose nowadays. It's just ridiculous.
And that's funny you said that, because I think when Clay was building last night with Brother Blue, I think what happened was
I watched that. I did.
They was talking about Sugar Ray Leonard, and I was laughing because Sugar Ray Leonard he named 8 fights in 2 years within a 2-year time span. Actually, was it 1 year? One full year. I'm sorry, was it like 1 full year or no? It was 2 years, a year and a half rather. Right, and I added to the I don't know if Blue seen it or Clay seen it, but I had added to that. I said, and what's crazy is those were all 15-round fights, and not only that, that's when they did same day weigh-ins. So that blows my mind that we're talking about a guy that could fight 5 fights in 1 year, 4 in another, and still maintain his championship pedigree and moving forward, coming off a loss, getting a rematch, and winning the fight. Like all that was insane back then, right? And again, they were all 15-round fights, and here we are complaining about guys taking 12-round fights. And I get it, because of the weight drain, they probably take a little bit more time off so they can recoup their bodies, whatever the case may be. But still, you should still have 3 to 4 fights a year. You don't have to have the 8 fights or the 6 fights a year. There's enough time in between. It only takes you 2 months to prepare for a fight. You get a month off, or maybe a month, really 5 weeks, a little over a month. Right, I was gonna say a little over a month. Right. Right, that's is insane, and they're professionals. This is what they go to the gyms for and train for as young fighters coming up. Shout out to Abdullah Mason, who's done this this whole year. We have to recognize what it really is, and we're as fans are so used to what we see now. We're used to this 2 fight a year stuff. When I grew up, I was watching 3 or 4 fights. I couldn't wait seeing Sugar Ray on the Wheaties box and you know what I mean, and things like that. And I'm like, man, this is not the same thing. This is not what we used to have. And I guess some of us that are accustomed to that. See, I'm a little younger than Muhammad Ali. I caught him at the end of his career. But as far as Sugar Ray, I was there throughout his career. And I'm sitting there like, so I can resonate to him, and then the Mike Tyson coming right after. I can resonate to them fighting these fights and performing for us and seeing what it looks like. But then the people that are into boxing now or are growing into boxing, they don't know what that looks like. So when they see us talking about it, they're like, man, these guys are doing what they need to do, man. We'll take them 2 times a year. We'll pay them $80 or $90 a fight. Man, they can make that. They can make that same money fighting 4 times a year and not ask for so much on pay-per-view, not ask for so much on revenue, and still make the same money. So at the end of the day, man, it really is what it is. But like I said, I'm nobody's counselor and bookkeeper. So, I try to stay out of that stuff. But I hear you, Echo. That was a good point also.
The thing is, I mean, like what Blue Blood said yesterday, I watched it, a bit of it, and as he was talking about Leonard, I was like saying the dates, because I already got the dates. I already know the dates. And, 79 November 30th, that's the same date that Hagler fought Andy Fermo. And then Hagler again fought Minter in September, when he won the title in London. But then Leonard fought again in June 20th, 1980. Then he fought November 25th, 1980. Then he fought again, Hearns again. He fought Hearns. That was on the 16th of February 1981. So he was busy all the time. Then he fought Ayub Kalule, who was a junior middleweight. And Kalule had never lost a fight. That was one of the people that Leonard beat that was undefeated. And that was for the junior middleweight WBA title. It was. Right. But that guy was fighting all the time, and he was fighting the best people. I mean, Larry Bond was a decent southpaw. He was.
Shout out to Hagler, Marvin Hagler.
Yeah, Marvin Hagler. I mean,
yeah, he was a great
fighter.
I tell you, man, I used to watch his speed stick commercial. And I always thought he was Mr. T brother, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. Shout out to Mr. T standing there behind Clay in that mural. But Clubber Lang, I thought they were brothers, man. I was like, that's a mean guy right there. So yeah, shout out to Marvin Hagler. And Coach, welcome to the chat. Salute.
One of the greatest of all time, for sure. I know a lot about Hagler. He only lost 3 times.
No doubt.
And they're all debatable losses, you know what I mean?
Right. One was real questionable, right? His first one was real questionable.
Well, he lost to Boogaloo Watts. He lost to Willie Monroe. He drew with Sugar Ray Seals, and he drew with Antifermo. The Antifermo loss, he should have won that. But then he went to London and he beat, what's his name? Minter. He did.
Yeah, for the belt, right? Oh, no, that was after he won the belt. Well, that was for the belt or after he won the belt?
Yeah, that was for the belt, yeah. 1980. In September 1980.
Yeah, I remember that fight was bad because they were throwing bottles at him in the ring.
I was there in the stadium.
Crazy,
I was there ducking bottles.
I was going to say Echo was dodging bottles.
But yo, wait, salute Eastside Easy in the building as well, man. Salute King, salute. We got 2 new people in the chat as well on the panel. One of them already spoke, Coach Eddie. Salute, Coach Eddie. Glad to have you back. And we also got Boxing Hacker in the building.
Salute. Oh, man. And Boxing Hacker, I don't know if you heard us yesterday. We didn't get your super chat because something happened with YouTube yesterday. So I did shout you out for it. We just didn't know what it was about. We didn't get to read it, but thank you. You know what I mean? Just want to let you know.
Always.
Yeah,
hey, just want to cook a little bit, So I heard what the young gentleman was saying prior to Echo. So when it comes to fighters, we have to realize one big thing, right? Their standards are different. So like the standards we put on champions is different than the standards we're going to put on contenders. It's different than the standards we're going to put on journeymen, If we believe somebody is a champion, we're going to expect them to fight a certain caliber of fights. If we believe the standard of a contender or a top level prospect, whichever way you want to call it, we're going to expect them to fight things that get them closer to contention or start calling out the champions. If we believe you're at the pinnacle of boxing itself, we're going to expect you to make the biggest fights, So I think when people, start to question why certain fighters get criticism, whether it's Tank Davis, whether it's Jerron Booth Ennis, because I know Jerron got criticism over the Karen Kukadajian fight, and whether it's fair or not, people are always going to use different standards to like rule it, So like if most Tank people that are watching Tank will say he's like the top fighter, the face of boxing or whatever, we're going to expect him to be in huge fights. The expectation isn't for him to fight. And it's not to say the people he's fighting are bad fighters, but it may not just be the caliber that meets the fight fans' expectation. Like for instance, Lamont Roach is a good fighter. He's a champion by all means, but he's a champion at 130. So people that are watching Tank campaign at 135, we expect them to fight people that are like the best, the top echelon at 135. Just like if somebody was like a champion in heavyweight, you don't expect a champion heavyweight to be like, okay, I'm gonna fight a champion in cruiserweight, especially if he's that top person. I never expect Usyk to bring somebody from cruiserweight to heavyweight, And when those things happen, you're always gonna get criticism. And the same thing with how fights goes as well. Karen Kukadajian, his family's in Kyiv, right? He's going through a whole lot. When I heard that, I knew that brother was coming in with a lot of spirit. Because this guy his family surviving bomb threats after bomb threats, you know. And I always say the Soviet Union style is always a complicated style, you know. So I always knew that it might pose threats, but because of the standard we put somebody like Boots on, of course Boots is gonna get criticism. The same thing with Tank, the same thing with Devin, the same thing with all the fighters at the top, you know. So I think we have to keep that in perspective when we say, oh well, why doesn't this happen? Why do people criticize this fighter over that fighter? Different standards. Once you're the top dog, you get all the smoke like you're the top dog, and you get all the eyes like you're the top dog.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree. I agree with you 100%, Boxing Hacker. I think it's just a conflict of.
Can I respond to that? Because he was talking about me.
I just want to add real quick to what he was saying. Just to say, I guess you can respond to both of us to a degree, I guess. But I'm going to add to it to say that it's definitely a conflict between two eras of boxing fans. You know, there's boxing fans who have always who come from an older generation of boxing fans who are just used to the best striving to fight the best, right? Everything they do is building up to some sort of legacy of putting themselves in a position to challenge anybody who's at the top of the hill and ultimately taking them down and being the guy at the top of the hill. It's always been a very simple format, very simple approach to boxing. You've heard Marvin Hagler speak on it. You've heard of Sugar Ray Leonard speak on it. You've heard of the reasons they had behind the fights that they made, which was very simple, like basic. He says he's the best. I'm saying I'm the best. There's only one way to figure it out, is us fighting each other. In this era of boxing, we have a fan base that's very focused on the business behind the fights happening, and whether or not the fights make sense financially, business wise, and all these different things. And then we have we also have boxers getting paid more than they've ever been paid before, right? The highest pays that they've ever been made. You've got some promoters who are for it. You got other promoters who say, like, this isn't a sustainable way of doing business. You guys aren't going to be able to contain and maintain these fighters at this high level of pay when you guys aren't able to do it. That's why you're seeing these fighters not fighting, right? Because they're used to getting paid anywhere from $10 to $30 million per fight. And if you try to bring them back to like $3 to $5 million in a fight, you know, they're not gonna entertain it. So they're staying outside of the ring longer. They're not as skilled. They're not a high level of skill or pedigree as they were at one point in time. They should be getting better, and they're not getting better. And I think that's what you're seeing when you're seeing a lot of these fighters coming from places like Ukraine or Russia or all these different areas in Eastern Europe that are, like you said, Boxing Hacker, struggling in their own right, and they're fighting for their family's honor and also to feed and take care of their families. They're coming here with a lot more hunger. Boxing had always seemed to me to be something for like the person trying to come up, the person struggling. Like, that's all they got is their fight, and they bring it inside the ring. But now you got a lot of guys who are living, you know, sleeping on 2,000 thread sheet Egyptian, you know what I'm saying, thread sheet, and you know what I mean, they're bathing in you know what I mean, in their enemy. I don't know, like I don't want to get into the antics of it all, but at the end of the day, from a boxing fan's point of view, and I always say it because all I can speak from is a boxing fans' point of view. I'm not in the business of boxing. I don't coordinate fights. I'm not investing in boxers. I'm not working for any networks. I'm not doing all that stuff. So I don't care about it, right? I care about the best fighting the best, and we're getting starved, in all honesty. So when we see great fighters like Gervonta Tank Davis, and we see him only fighting once a year, and then when he comes back to fight a second time in the year, he gives us a Lamont Roach, there's going to be pushback. And it's not a personal thing as far as hating on him. It's just a lot of expectations that aren't being met, and people are just being short or being shorthanded on the big fights happening. And that's all it comes down to. Now, I know some people want us to be more patient. I get it. That's what's up. A lot of people have patience. They're not from that era, though. They're more used to seeing this kind of matchmaking happening and this type of boxing happening than what we're used to seeing back in the 80s and the 90s. We didn't see it this way. So it's a different experience for us, where you guys are feeling fulfilled like this is normal. We're like, yo, this is BS. And that's just all it comes down to from my perspective. You know what I mean? But
I agree 100%.
Yeah,
back in the day. Oh, go ahead, Blaze.
Oh yeah, because I was just gonna respond because he was talking. And so my thing is, like, I respect people's opinion. I'm just giving a different perspective, right?
Right.
Like I understand why people feel the way they feel. And if you can't, it's hard to compare eras because there's a whole bunch of different. You look at the sport world and competition period over the eras. It's just different because my thing on the one end, it was like Sugar Ray Leonard is an anomaly in the sense of, his work ethic, him fighting at the highest level, him fighting the stiffest competition. And then he was also relatively getting his money too. Or at least, he was like put into stardom and he had all this other endorsement stuff outside of boxing. And then he still stayed on his career to do the Contender. And he's still looking like he lives a well-off life. A lot of these boxers get exploited and get ground in the mud for fighting 4 times a year, 5 times a year, and don't have their faculties anymore. So it'd be like there's 2 sides to it as well, where it's like, hey, you got this expectation old school for them to fight like that when it's like, if sports science has got up in the highest level competition has then got higher, then it's like you expect them to fight, you expect them to fight all these times. And then it's like at the same time, at what risk to their health? And is it even sustainable for somebody to be able to be great and do that? Abdullah Mason is different because he's a prospect, he's fighting lower level competition to build himself up. And so, a lot of great fighters go through 5 to 7 fights in 1 year, at one point early in their careers to build it up. But I would say, so I think if it was, I don't know, my response to when they're talking about the expectations for Tank and all that, it's like everybody has it both ways. It's like, hey, Lamont Roach is champion at 130 and he's moving up one weight division to fight Tank, right? But it's like, okay, Bud's trying to move up weight divisions to fight other champions. Other fighters are fighting, right? And so it's like both ways. And then it's like, all right, like we said earlier, it's like, I think Rescott was, saying he's looking at the tape with Roach, not thinking he's just a bump, right? And so it'd be like, what do you want? What more do you want? When we looked at what just happened in this scenario with Tank, where he called out the top names, and then the top names are not available for him right now. Again, when I say what I say, I'm saying I have the expectations that y'all have right now. I'm not complaining about what Tank did in the past. It's right now. 135 right now. As far as how he's been dispatching his opponents, he's been dispatching them in phenomenal fashion. Whatever excuses you want to give for whoever he's been fighting, weight, brain, or whatever, he's been putting them all the way the same, and he's an exciting boxer, and everybody want to see him. That's my only particular position. I get people saying, oh, you should fight this and fight that, but unfortunately, people with legitimate complaints is mixed in with a bunch of nonsense of people commenting about boxing right now. And you're just in it, and so it's nonsense. We're all nitpicking and constantly nitpicking about what you're seeing. Nobody's satisfied with no. Look, let's think about it right here. Let's think about it. There's no. We're talking about. I mean, maybe some people are satisfied with Usyk. Nobody's satisfied with Bitter B have done. There's like nobody satisfied with nothing that the highest boxers in the highest sport are doing right now. There's always some big ass excuse. Oh, Canelo's ducking Bud. Bud's ducking Boots. You right? Oh, Haney, Haney, whatever happened with him and Ryan and how he's acting in this shenanigans. Shakur, Tank. It's like, don't nobody respect nobody at the top of the sport right now. Real talk. Like, look, we have all these comments and all that, and it's like, hey, man, when you become champion, when you can become multiple division champion, when you become unified champion, it's like at what point, when if you ain't constantly fighting the same highest competition, do you still respect this person as the highest, greatest, and highest level of their sport? And you're like, oh, you ain't fought this person, you ain't fought that person. That's my only criticism. It's like, I seen the old school fights, I get it, but I don't compare the eras because of the economics, how the money's distributed, people, boxers' health. So I'm a boxing fan, so I'm accepting what I see. So I don't have a whole bunch. I have some critiques, but I'm not hard lining it, having a beef with any of these fighters fighting at the highest level. Because in reality, I'm not over here just nitpicking everybody because I love boxing. I'm going to watch it, right? So that's just my perspective on the other side of this. When we're talking about who Tank fought, who haven't fought, how old school fighters talk to new school fighters, and I just end with that point, right? Old school era, new school era. That's in every competition. You look at basketball, you look at football, you look at boxing. You'd be like, hey, these guys ain't as tough as they was in the old era. That's just the phenomenon of sports. But you got to realize the economics to it too. People are trying to protect their investment, i.e. protect their bodies. So they're taking less risk than they did in the past to be great.
Right.
Now, you can say that's
hold on, Ray.
Wait,
Ray, don't jump in just yet because I want to go ahead and highlight this super chat. Swift 718, salute for the $50 high, man. We appreciate you, dog, for supporting the platform. Says, bottom line, we complain about the product that we're He emphasized on we're paying for supply versus demand. We're the marketplace, and we're giving the boots, and we're giving the boots more times than the boot. I don't think he's talking about boot the fighter.
He's talking about boot, yeah.
It's like literally boots on up our ass, pause. Boots more times than not. That's why the popularity of boxing in the public eye is non-existent. Top quality yields top dollars. And I'm gonna reply to that and say I think that's what it comes down to, right? Like, and I really appreciate the super chat, but I more so appreciate the actual statement, because that's what it comes down to. And it comes down to people are trying to sell boxing fans the idea that what they're getting is okay, that they shouldn't be complaining, that they shouldn't be asking for more, that these fighters are doing everything they can to give us the fights that we want to see, and that we should accept that there's a new system of boxing and matchmaking that's there, and that we should try to become fans of this version of boxing. And it's and to me, I find that to be crazy at times. I'll be honest with you. I just think that what people are going to come to find out, and I'm happy that Turkey's here, is this boxing era is for some people, and for a lot of people it's not. And I think the evidence in the amount of popularity, how it's gone down in popularity, how the fans have walked away from boxing, how they've jumped into different sports like the UFC and other things like that because of the way they actually do their matchmaking, is showing how effective versus ineffective that approach is becoming, right? Because no matter what nobody wants to say, although there is a new system of boxing outside of Turki Al-Sheikh and what Jake Paul is doing, and the old version of boxing matchmaking, as far as like what Top Rank is trying to do at times, and what Eddie Hearn is trying to do, you know, he's suffering all those losses because he's trying to up the level of matchmaking for his fighters. Outside of that, boxing's not doing well, right? Boxing is not doing well with this new style. We had like a quick blitz of like 3 to 5 years, well, let's say 5 to 10 years of where fighters were making the most money they ever made. There was some fights being made, but slowly but for surely the best fights weren't being made anymore. And because of that, people have been complaining about boxing ever since. That's all you hear about, is the best don't fight the best here. The champions don't fight their mandatories. There's no real structure. People are holding out and holding titles hostage. They're doing all types of things that are hurting the sport. So I agree with you, Blaze, pound for pound. Like, this is a new era of boxing, but I don't think there's any proof that this era is going to be sustainable. What people like Swift said just right then and there, that's why the popularity of the boxing in the public eye is non-existent. Top quality yields top dollars ultimately. And until that structure is brought back into boxing and that understanding is embraced by the boxing community as well as the boxers, to understand that the legacy portion of boxing is what the fans have always held close to their heart, then that's what makes us spend our money. I think until that is embraced, we're going to continue to see boxing going the opposite direction of where it should be at. And only the mentalities of like the Turki Al-Sheikhs of the world, who understand and are trying to bring back legacy into the sport, that's the only true hope a sport like boxing has to really be what it used to be. You know what I mean?
Hey. Absolutely. Oh, go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, Coach.
Let Coach talk. Go ahead.
Yeah. Like I say, I think we found that out during the pandemic, that boxing is not a necessity; it's entertainment, and people got to keep it. And these fighters have to realize that also. My old trainer always told me, "You got a small window of time to box. You can only box for a certain amount of time. You can train boxers forever. You can manage boxers forever. You can promote boxing forever, but you can only fight for a limited amount of time." A lot of these boxers are overestimating their star power. Out of sight, out of mind. If you're not fighting, they'll prop somebody else up in your face, i.e. Keyshawn Davis. Good fighter, but you guys are not fighting, we're going to promote this kid right here because he is fighting. He is putting butts in seats. So all you guys sit there and want to hold out for the $30 million payday, the Floyd Mayweather money, you'll never see that again. That record will stand forever. It's not. It's never going to be broken. These guys thinking they're going to get 100 million, 200, 300, 400 million. Forget about it. Unless you're a heavyweight, then you have a possibility to get that type of money. Another brother spoke a little bit earlier talking about the endorsements, about Marvin Hagler, Sugar Ray Leonard. Those guys did endorsement. They were marketable. These guys can't cross over to the commercial like Anthony Joshua, because Anthony Joshua has the image of being squeaky clean. Even though he may not be that, he's presented in that way. That's why he's able to get these endorsements. That's why he's able to make money outside of boxing through corporate sponsors. When you get up there in this press conference and you start saying N-word this, N-word that, there goes your sponsorship right there.
Yep.
Your mind you're no longer marketable. You don't have no crossover appeal. That's why you don't see any boxers on Wheaties boxes anymore. No Gatorade. Pay attention to a Gatorade commercial. You see no boxers on Gatorade commercials. None. Zero. These are endorsements. Shoe deals.
Right.
Where are the boxers with the shoe deals? So because they're not marketing themselves. So but that's the one I'm gonna land my plane right there.
Yeah, and just to land, come in and just add to that. I mean, Shakur did get that Reebok deal. I mean, we could speak for that. But where's Reebok right now? Where's his shoe company? Where's his designing gear? You know, I mean, you got to go to their website to get it. It's, like you said, they're marketing their own clothes. They're marketing their own brands. We don't have this outside marketing sense or big promotion from the sponsorships. That's a great point. That was a great way of describing what took place from yesteryears to today. Not to mention that I do agree with both Boxing Hacker and Blaze on both parts. I do think there's a happy medium in between both parts of the conversation, and Clay kind of solidified it, and so did Swift with his super chat. Listen, the fans, the casual fan, and we can always say who's a casual fan. The casual fan is a person that knows nothing about boxing. They're the person that watch every sport. They go to a bar, they see boxing on TV, and then they see a star and they say they like that guy, and that brings them into the sport to become a fan of the sport. Those are the casuals. Those are the guys we want in the sport. We're not having that because our stars are fighting only on pay-per-views for $90. These bars are not showing these fights. These bars are not giving the eyes to these people that can be watching these guys. You know who they know? They know Ryan Garcia. Why? Because he's in other platforms. He's in TikTok. And they like TikTok. You know who else they know? They know a Teofimo Lopez because he fights on Top Rank, which is a free fight you can throw in a bar. They know Shakur Stevenson because he was on Top Rank. You can throw into a bar. They don't know these guys that are fighting for $90. They only know Tank because they think he's about maybe Mike Tyson. And he had establishment with Showtime at the pinnacle of their heightened run in boxing. So we're not seeing everything that is being broadcasted as it was yesterday. We have to connect to the people that are not interested in boxing, and that's what we're losing. We're losing that because all these superstars are in high demand and they don't even care about what goes in their pockets. They don't care about the fans. Clay had made this point a long time ago. They don't listen to us. All that y'all say in defense and shooting and saying this and saying that for them, listen, y'all just mouthpieces for free. They ain't paying you to say this stuff. Y'all doing it for your own good. Listen, let's just enjoy the sport and talk about the sport, the upcoming fights, and all these other things, and let's leave the fighters' personal lives alone. Let's leave their arguments alone. Let them argue their own battles. Shakur already said it. You can't fight. You don't have to argue for me. I can speak for my own self. It happens. You know what I mean? We just have to really recognize that social media has played a big part in building boxing to where we have it today from what we had maybe a couple of years ago to, you know what I mean, hopefully sustaining it and bringing it back to its glory and some praise, but we have lost what we had in our glory days, and it is evident.
To even pick you up back off that, right, guys? So when you look at like the difference between now and then, right, it's not that the sport itself has changed. Boxing is still boxing. It's the things that circulate the sport, like the business of boxing. So you look at like now there's way more belts than they were back in the day, you know. So what everybody's a champion. When you see like 5 people get announced as champions whenever they fight, you know. You see the birth of paid streaming versus pay-per-view. Back in the day, pay-per-view, it was accessible to everybody. You know, if you had cable TV, you could always order pay-per-view. Older people, younger people, it didn't matter. It was accessible. Paid streaming, live streaming is a great thing. It's an innovation. But it's also in a space where, like, if everybody remembers the Google Glass came out, right? Where it's like it might be a little bit early because now the demographic of people that look at like paid streaming is less because it's not for everybody that has cable. It's for if I have cable, I need to go to a separate app on my TV. If I'm an older gentleman who's used to just cable, I wouldn't even know what to do that, you know. So that also changes the dynamic of things, you know. And so, and this is why it's important, or not even less necessarily important. This is why you see factors like standards. Like, for instance, you see people say, hey, we want to see the best, because right now we are the viewers who are choosing to watch these fights. You know, we're choosing to watch these fights. We have our own set of expectations. Hey, I want to see my fighter do this, or I want to see this champion fight somebody great. I don't want to wait for so long. You know, it's sort of, I feel like in boxing, and if you compare it to like MMA, right? MMA, I feel like people who stay undefeated, they don't stay undefeated for long. You know, I feel like they're undefeated, and one day they have to fight somebody. They definitely have to fight the guy they're gonna fight, and somebody's gonna lose. You know, and the person who does stay undefeated, it's sort of like an anomaly for MMA. Versus boxing, everybody's keeping that old. You know, I think that also plays a role. You know, so, and this is just to piggyback off what Blaze was saying. Like, at the end of the day, I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, if I'm a Tank fan, or if I'm even a Devin fan, if I'm Lomachenko, I just hold them to a certain degree, you know? Do I think Lamont Roach is a bad fight? Of course not. He's not a bad fighter. However, he's now 135, you know? And people can keep spinning the thing, well, that was the only person Tank could fight. He got turned down by 5 different fighters. We don't even know that to be true. We know that Lomachenko's fight fell through. And we don't know if any of the other, if he even pursued anybody else. We knew they were talking.
We know about Shakur too being injured.
We know him about
Shakur
but Shakur said himself that he was waiting on Tank.
But what I'm telling you is, who else though? If it ain't Loma and Shakur, who else at 135 right now?
Shakur said he's waiting on Tank. So even that second person
he's hurt, bro. It don't matter. We can't talk about him.
Prior to him getting hurt,
it don't matter. He got hurt though, and it was talking. If I'm watching the Top Dog about, and then Shakur went and had 2 contracted fights.
All right, listen. All right, listen. So yes, you both had good points. So Blaze, just to throw this out there, Zepeda was available. The dude with the big head that just fought, Floyd Schofield Jr. was available.
Exactly.
He's a prospect.
He's not. He's a contender. He's actually just fought it. He just fought a 10-round fight, a 12-round fight.
What's his rank?
He just hold on.
Is he a title eliminator or anything? No, bro. No.
Yes, he just fought for a title eliminator. Hold on, let me finish. And Schofield did just fought for a title eliminator, right? Yes, he did. And you figure he just had Santos, fought, right? Who was available.
That's right. His last
fight. So that means he was a contender, right?
No,
that puts it yes, it does.
Like, he ain't fought nobody. Bro. Listen, bro. Schofield ain't fought nobody supposed to be having him in the conversation.
That's not why.
Because think about it.
Listen, I'm not arguing. Hold on. Let me wait. Okay, Blaze, I got you. Let me keep going. Blaze, okay, I hear you. I've been on that side of the street. Trust me. I'm just going through numbers. You said there was no one for him to fight. I'm just going through the names. Now, you can feel how you feel about that afterwards, because I feel the same way. We had this conversation on the channel, and I said, I don't think Schofield's ready. I think he needs to have more fights. He needs to get more people in the ring. I'm with you on that, but let me keep going. Santos, he wasn't hurt. His manager came out and confirmed that he wasn't hurt. You had De Los Santos. Let me clarify his name. We had the other gentleman that was in the rankings. Liam, was it Clay's favorite guy? What's his name? Clay? Liam? No, not Liam. No, was a guy from England, Clay.
I'll give you Zepeda, but
you're talking about Mark Chamberlain. But listen,
Mark Chamberlain.
Wait, hold on.
There's a lot of guys.
Wait, hold on. I want to put some perspective on this, and because I'll be honest with you, this always comes back around to this Tank situation, right?
And it does.
And I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of this conversation. I'll be honest. The reason I'm not a fan of it is because I'm not interested in people who aren't fighting, and I'm genuinely not interested in and I said it yesterday, and I can't like emphasize how much I mean this shit. Like, I'm leaving Tank alone. You know, if he doesn't want to fight who I want him to fight, I'm not pushing him to do it no more. There's just other fights to be made. I don't need any excuses made for him, because at times it starts to feel a little bit insulting on my intelligence, because I don't like the fight that he's got coming up. And that's all that matters to me, right? So that's where I stand on it. There's no selling me on this guy doing something and me disagreeing with it, or not even necessarily disagreeing with it, but just genuinely not caring about it, not a fan of it, knowing what the fight is going to be, knowing Tank is going to knock this dude out or beat the mess out of him, knowing that this win for Lamont Roach is aligned with one of the biggest upsets of the past 5 to 10 years. That's what we're going to be seeing if Lamont Roach beats this dude. I'm not interested in it. And I'm not watching boxing just for the sake of watching boxing. That's not why I watch boxing. I watch boxing for the competitive nature of the sport. In my personal opinion, there is not a fair, well, I'm saying fair. There's not a realistic competition happening between this man and Lamont Roach. And a lot of people in the boxing space, a lot of fans are feeling the same way, and they're starting to react to it. They're pushing back, and people are going to stand there and choose to defend Tank or defend these fights and try to say that people are being nitpicky or people are being petty or people aren't being fair, but it doesn't add up to a view. It doesn't add up to a seat bought. It doesn't add up to none of that. So we'll see what happens. We'll sit back, we'll watch, and we'll see how this story ends. We'll ultimately get some perspective better with hindsight than we clearly ever will with foresight. But as far as Claymore Reign, as far as where I stand, no, I'm not interested in Tank Davis fighting against Lamont Roach. I'm interested in the bigger fights happening. I would have much rather watched Tank Davis fight a Floyd Schofield. Yes. People are going to say, why? Because I think Floyd Schofield is a motivated fighter. He thinks he can win. He has punching power. He's willing to mix it up and melee with Tank, and he's the number 2 guy in the WBA sanctioning body. Is it the first fight that I would have wanted? No. But if we're talking about because Shakur wasn't available, because Lomachenko wasn't available, because some of the other fighters we want wasn't available, I would have much more appreciated Tank defend his WBA title against a number 2 guy in his sanctioning body, and I would have supported him and been like, look, what did you want him to do? At least he's fighting somebody in his division. I would have much rather him fought De Los Santos, who's right behind Schofield in the WBA sanctioning body. He's number 4 on that list, behind, of course, the number 1 spot, which is William Zepeda, the number 2 spot, which is Floyd Schofield. My bad. I'm sorry. De Los Santos is number 3 and Andy Cruz is number 4, right? So it's like there's plenty of fights, in my personal opinion, that could have been made inside of 135. People who are on record calling Tank out saying, I'm available, put me on, and he didn't. He went outside of the division to 130 pounds, and he pulled up a champion in Lamont Roach, who, in my opinion, beat a Hector Garcia that I'm not that impressed with either. I'm genuinely not impressed. He beat Chris Colbert, and his biggest accomplishment was knocking Chris Colbert on his behind, not even stopping him, and going blind against Tank Davis in a fight that Tank Davis punched him in the head until he couldn't see no more. I'm not that impressed with Hector Garcia. Lamont Roach is a great fighter. I would much rather see Lamont Roach compete in his division against an Oshaki Foster, against a Robinson Casasiao, against Emmanuel Navarrete, even right now against a Raymond Ford, who I believe this whole entire situation, as far as Tank and Lamont Roach is concerned, may be getting in the way of that fight happening in a division where he actually belongs, where Raymond Ford is there right now, just put on an exciting performance this past weekend. It'd have been great to hear about Raymond Ford trying to shoot at Lamont Roach and make that fight happen. That's a great fight that could happen. So it is what it is, right? At the end of the day, it ain't for everybody. I'm not for everybody. Tank against Lamont Roach is clearly not for everybody, and we'll just have to see how it pans out. But needless to say, if you're great, we're going to hold you to great standards. And when you're talking about great, we're talking about the greatness before you that was here, and you're not comparing to those guys. Maybe right now in your era, compared to what's been happening here, you're great. But in comparison to greatness, which is what I'm used to comparing great people to, you're not adding up to that. You're not. You know what I mean? So I personally don't want to talk about this like that anymore, because at the end of the day, people are going to feel the way they feel at. But I would say that fans should be supportive of what benefits fans. Nobody give a damn. The fighters can be supportive of what helps them out. And if we stay in our lanes, then ultimately it's going to come down to, all right, the boxer's going to have to make up his mind how much he needs us, and we're going to have to make up our minds on how much we need them. We don't need them fighting those fights and charging us $70 to $90 to see him fight a fight we already know. It's not even worth gambling over, bro. Even on the gambling scene, even on Vegas, there's no money to be made on the fight, bro. So there's no obviously, I can think of 100 reasons as to why this fight did not happen on the 14th. Even in Vegas, that means you got to spend like $500. You got to spend like $10,000 to make $1,000 on this fucking fight, bro. And then I'm saying, like, that's not even a good bet. You know what I'm saying? You got to spend like $10,000 just to pull in $1,000 win. You know what I'm saying? You got to go bet some crazy, like, I think he's going to knock him out in the first round or before to make some kind of money on it. So it doesn't benefit anybody for these kind of fights to get put together. It only benefits the fighter involved in the fight. In this case, Tank Davis, who will get a high payday because of the market value he's built in himself. Lamont Roach will get a high payday in comparison to whatever monies he's made in the past. The boxing fan, Vegas, everybody
froze up
this fight. Everybody
he froze up.
I froze up.
No, Claymore is cool. Ray, you might you might be stuck somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Claymore fine.
Okay.
So it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? We'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. But like I said, I don't see how the fans conflict and bump heads so much on just trying to see the best fight and the best. I would think every single boxing fan could be on that same page. We all could understand from each other why we want to see the best fight the best. The idea that there's so many fans pushing on other fans as to why they should like fights that they don't like is it spins my head around the block. I don't know what it is. Now, look, I want to move the needle and continue the conversation into the fights that are actually happening. I would much rather talk about boxing that is actually going to happen right in front of us. I don't know if the panel is just super interested in Tank Davis that much. It's on you guys. I'm not here to like Debo, but I'm genuinely not interested in the conversation that much.
Well, speaking of, hold on, guys, hold on, real quick. Speaking of this conversation, I'm sorry to keep going with it. Breaking news: this fight is now taking place March 1st, 2024, with Lamont Roach and Tank Davis.
Like I said, now. He should just make the fight with Shakur because Shakur was going to fight in February, wasn't he?
Yeah,
it is what it
hasn't been sent out. That's why it just goes right back to it.
I want to jump in real quick. I think the best thing for all these fighters to do, in my opinion, if I could have a magic one, I would hope that they all lost once. That way they can go ahead and get it over. Go ahead and get it over with. Stop protecting yourself. Stop crying. Stop ducking and dodging. It's a fight, man. Somebody's going to win. Somebody's going to lose, man. You know. Yep. I mean, it is what it is, man. You know what I'm saying? It's a 50-50 shot. And what's going to happen? These guys all this ducking and dodging, they're going to wind up losing to somebody they're not supposed to. It's going to be Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder all over again. Somebody's going to take a loss. And they're going to be, oh, man, it's just going to be a lot of complaining and stuff. Like, these guys got to realize, in today's climate, HBO is gone. There's no HBO boxing after dark. There's no HBO Showtime. There's no pay-per-view. Showtime is gone. Showbox is gone. Championship Showtime boxing is gone. Pay-per-view is gone. That's why you see a lot of guys that we seen on HBO Showtime where they fighting there now. Team Combat League. They do the fight on Pro Box. You're 2 losses away from being on Pro Box. Chris Colbert just fought on Pro Box. Jared Hurd just fought on Pro Box. These were former champions.
Yeah.
So and shout out to Pro Box. You know, I don't have nothing against them. Hopefully they can boost their platform, because the more platforms these guys have to showcase their talent, it's the better for boxing. But you know, the tank fans.
Right quick.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Swift 718, man. Appreciate the support. You really been engaging a lot today, man. I appreciate you, brother. And you've been dropping some real gems, man. Here he goes saying Super Bowl does the highest business, free NBA finals, free Major League Baseball World Series, free best versus best is where the money is. Ad rate, sponsors, boxing, pay attention, emphasizing on pay attention, true promotion, activity and exposure, money. That's the facts.
Horns.
Yes.
One more thing real quick. I'm gonna land it right here real quick. These guys got to remember, every fight is not a pay-per-view fight. Mike Tyson didn't fight on pay-per-view every time. Evander Holyfield didn't fight all the fights on pay-per-view. If it's not a pay-per-view fight, don't put it on pay-per-view. This tank fight is not a pay-per-view fight. Sorry, it isn't. You know what I'm saying? But I know he wants that money, but at the end of the day, it's not worthy of pay-per-view. Pay-per-view was reserved for special fights back in the day. Everybody didn't make it to pay-per-view. It was a reserve. If it wasn't a pay-per-view fight, it was a Showtime championship fight. It was an HBO championship fight, which I seen Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield fought many times, not on pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I would say with
And then
that
if you're viewing what
is
pays
that
streaming
is
now.
that
Hold on,
the only thing I would
Hold
say
on.
with Tank
Let Blaze talk.
about the pay-per-view is that he got to the bag. So while you being a fan of boxing, like there's enough casuals to where they feel like it makes good business for them to put it on pay-per-view. And that's one of the things that I would say about Tank too that's different from everybody else is that under Floyd's tutelage, Floyd got Tank to the bag before he built a resume. So he doesn't like that was the thing. Floyd had transitioned over, and when he was getting exploited at top rank, he fought all that high level competition. And then when he bought his contract out and became Floyd Money Mayweather, right? He hit a sweet spot in which he was like that great, where he was fighting high level competition, but then he also figured out the business to make him the most paid in the sport. And so when he put Gervonta Tank Davis on path, he accelerated his path towards getting to pay-per-view and getting to the bag in the business. And so, so that's what you're looking at right now is you're looking at Tank with a apparatus and a machine around him that can get to the money even when he's not fighting like legendary high-level competition. And then the other thing with the
Right.
other, it's kind of hard to compare boxing to other sports because those are leagues with collective bargaining agreements and systems around to where they have hella teams with the highest level of competition. So the product to get TV contracts is different than this wild, wild west with this promotion in boxing. So that's why, you say it's free. It's not free because you get hundreds of millions of viewers to watch the Super Bowl and millions of viewers to watch football games every week. You can't get that in boxing with a bunch of boxers. And so that's the economics that's different from when you look at sports, other sports, team sports, particularly these major leagues in comparison to boxing.
Yeah, I
Well,
want to
let's
let me
go ahead.
wait 1 second.
Go
Let
ahead,
me bring
Chris.
up Bub Boxing, what he's saying right here, right? Because I think it's an interesting little topic, and the panel could speak on it. I definitely have an answer for it, and I think that just once again, just let me just read it first, right? It says, earlier when it was Jake Paul, we should love all boxing, right? But Tank, no support, but you're not hating. All right, I'm gonna start off by responding. Brother, comparing Jake Paul, I don't even look at a hold to a standard anywhere near the zip code of a Gervonta Tank Davis, right? I don't even hold him anywhere near it. But let's talk about it though, right? So Jake Paul is hosting an event where him and Mike Tyson are headlining it, and you have Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor co-headline on it. You have Mario Barrios defending his welterweight title on there. You have all these fighters getting an opportunity. Bruce Shushu Carrington, he's bringing Body back. All these opportunities for these fighters. He's keeping them active. He has a network deal. He's opening up and evolving the sport into bringing it to a new network with Netflix. He's doing all these things, right? Not to mention all the fights that he puts on the zone as far as MVPs, prospects, and things of that nature, where fighters have come out of there, like Ernesto Mercado and fighters like that who have performed on those platforms and gotten showcased where they probably wouldn't have been showcased anywhere else in real life. And then you have Gervonta Tank Davis fighting Lamont Roach, who you don't even know who's going to be on the undercard, right? You don't even know. And I promise you, let's put $1 on it that whoever's on that undercard is going to be somebody that does not need Gervonta Tank Davis to promote them, right? It's going to be some older Jamal Charlo fighters that are on their way out the door, in my opinion. There's no comparison. So yeah, if you hear me say that I'm celebrating what Jake Paul's doing, I'm not celebrating the fight between him and Mike Tyson. I don't even care about the fight between Mike Tyson. I don't think Mike Tyson should be fighting Jake Paul. But am I going to deny the positive effect that he's putting on the sport, the extra eyes he's putting on the sport, the opportunities he's providing for other boxers in the sport? No, I'm not going to shoot that in the eye and just turn that into a hate Jake Paul thing. If I'm holding Gervonta Tank Davis to an actual standard of him being a great boxer and him fighting the best, because that's what he does for boxing, and he's not doing that, I can make arguments as to how him and Lamont Roach isn't the best thing for boxing. Why? Because if you get boxing fans who are pay-per-view paying boxing fans to watch a fight like that, right? And they start to turn towards not paying for matches because they buy into the idea that these matches aren't worth the money they're spending, they're going to start stealing streams. Now, when the real big fights happen, like let's say Shakur Stevenson and the Tank Davis happen, are they going to leave their illegal streams that they can still watch that fight on and start paying for it all of a sudden? Or will they just do what they've been doing? Why pay for something that's for free? So if you're trying to attract fans into the sport, why convince them constantly back to back to back that the best aren't going to fight the best in the sport? That's just a reasonable argument to make there, right? So there's no comparison. There's no comparison in between the two. In many ways, Jake Paul is better for boxing right now than what Gervonta Tank Davis is giving to boxing right now. People can argue it. I know, oh, well, this guy's crazy. Keep on thinking I'm crazy, bro. Keep on thinking I'm crazy. But I'll let the panel jump in on it and answer that.
Wait, just before we do that, Boxer Hacker has a request of a message he wants to read up for him to for you to read on the screen. I don't know what it is. I'm imagining it's the one about no one here. I'm sorry, excuse me, here for boxing. Excuse me, Boxer Hacker. My bad. Just confusing like, two names. My bad. Hacker, I'm about to be like, yo, yeah. My bad. Here for boxing. No one. I think it's the one that says no one here talks about Tank like a dog. I believe that's what he's talking about.
All right.
No one. Hey, I want to piggyback off of what Claymore just said. It's so true.
Wait. Well, let me just read this real quick, and I'm going to hand it right over to you, Coach Eddie. No one in here talks about Tank like a dog, like certain platforms do to Devin Haney. All we ask of Tank is to fight the best, and y'all do nothing but cry about it. Okay.
I agree with that 100%. I've seen.
Wait, Boxer Hacker, don't jump in. Yeah, I told Coach Eddie I was going to let him get at it, man. Let him get at it, right, Coach? Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. I want to agree with Claymore said, because the simple fact is a lot of these people are just interested in growing boxers, not the sport of boxing. And that goes back to what we were talking about yesterday when we had Tuesday night fights. We had Thursday night fights. We had Friday night fights. We had, Broadway boxing. A Madison Square Garden, MSG, yeah, Fox. All these right here were just appetizers for the sport of boxing leading up to the main event, which were our marquee names. And that's what's missing. We waiting on these marquee names, and they're only doing it once a year. So the sport is dying because there's no more Tuesday night fights. There's no more Teddy Atlas going crazy on Friday night fights when somebody gets robbed. That killed that. Right. I look forward to Friday night fights. I look forward to it. Yeah. I look forward to Tuesday night fights. So when there's no boxing on during the week, out of sight, out of mind. Therefore, the sport is out of mind. And it's important to keep boxing up front, not just highlight the quote unquote popular boxers. Because just because you're popular don't mean you're the best. That just means you're popular. Just like you have popular music, you have popular rappers. That don't mean they're the best rappers. That just mean they're popular. And it's turned into like a theater almost. And we got to get back to the roots. But I'm gonna land my plane right there.
I like that. Like I said before, even when you look at Tuesday night fight and Friday night fights, it's also the integration of the same thing I was saying before about like like live streaming versus like pay-per-view and being on cable. The integration between the two is just not. They're too separate. Back then, like you watch like two Friday night fights on like Channel 5. Everybody watches cable. But now people have to go to the apps. And apps are, for newer generations. It doesn't always like translate back to older generations, So I think like nowadays the audience we're seeing isn't the same because of like the pay. And it's not to say pay streaming is bad. I just think the integration with pay streaming and versus your cable isn't as good as it was for pay-per-view. Like if you look at it, like you look at Tank Davis and like you look at Canelo, they were all on pay-per-view, and that's when they were making probably their biggest numbers because pay-per-view was open to everybody. People had fight parties. If you had cable, you had pay-per-view. You can have basic cable, you can have Showtime. As long as you had cable, you have pay-per-view, But now you have to have a certain type of TV, to have a live streaming. Or if you have to be at least a little bit inclined on how like mobile or computers work to use live streams, And just to piggyback off what Here for Boxing was saying, I do agree with that, the whole sentiment of the fact that people when people talk about Tank, it's not to a like nobody like I've never said he's a bad fighter. I've never heard Claymore or Ray in most channels, Blue Blood, 70. I never heard him say like he's a terrible fighter or anything like that. It's more to the fact that hey, we want to see you fight this person, we want to see you fight that person, and like they always like before it used to be like him and Devin. Everybody wanted to see him and Devin fight, and there's always these reasons why they can't fight. Or Devin doesn't sell, blah blah blah. But then he'll fight people that don't sell anything. People that never stole, have never even been on pay-per-view. He'll fight those people, but he won't fight Devin. Everybody will be like, oh, Devin doesn't bring anything to the table. You know, I've never seen that. But when it comes to fighters like Devin Haney, you know, and maybe I have a implicit bias because I am a Devin Haney fan. I have seen channels that go past boxing to hate on Devin Haney. They'll talk about his family. They'll talk about his wife. They'll talk about, oh, I don't like his father. I'm like, what does his father have to do with it? You don't even know his dad. You know, they'll talk
name
about
one person that hates on him.
We want to see him lose. Devin Haney deserves everything he gets. They'll promote Ryan Garcia actively cheating. Yeah, and we got to call it cheating. And I don't care if you want to say it's based off him not disclosing supplements. That's fine, but that's still cheating. That's against the rules. That's cheating. So he actively cheated, no matter which way you want to spin it. You know, they'll defend against that. You know, they'll do so much to say disregard other fighter. You know, this certain fighter. You know, and there's just that. There's that disparity. You know.
Yeah, let me tap in right quick.
I've been told by people that, you know,
tap in right quick. Hold on 1 second. Bear with me. I don't mean to cut you off, boxing, but I just want to address something. So Bub said that, you know, he's basically trying to push this idea that I'm sitting here trying to put energy behind Jake Paul fighting Mike Tyson. I need you guys to not have such a short attention span, right? Like, I need you not to get caught up on what you feel like getting caught up in, and at least hold me accountable for what I'm saying for real. Don't make it up. So I'm going to say it just so it goes on the record, right? Shout out to Jackie Hernandez, who I believe is capturing what I'm saying, right? She said, Mike agreed it's so, if so, that's on him. I'm talking about the bigger picture overall. He's helping boxers be seen, stacking undercards, right? So when we're talking about what Jake Paul's doing with the game, we're not saying Jake Paul fighting Mike Tyson is good for boxing, bro. That's not what we're saying at all. Nobody here believes that Jake Paul fighting a damn near 60-year-old Mike Tyson is great for boxing. That's absolute nonsense to even assume that I would think that, right? But when I'm speaking clearly and you're choosing to walk away trying to say that I believe that Mike Tyson fighting Jake Paul is better for boxing than Tank Davis fighting Lamont Roach, I'm trying to give you some credibility and give you some respect, right? I don't want to think that you just have a hard time like processing or that your IQ is like hurting you in this situation. I am talking about Jake Paul facilitating platforms for other fighters to showcase their talents and how that may be a better thing for boxing than Tank Davis fighting Lamont Roach, right? Somebody who's actually bringing up new talent, who's getting fighters like Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor an opportunity to show the world something, to show them how great they are. No other platform is offering them an opportunity doing that. It's helping to add to boxing. The quality matches, the up-and-coming fighters that he's giving an opportunity to because he's using his likeness, even though he's fighting a Mike Tyson, is what I'm arguing is reasonable to argue is better for boxing than a Lamont Roach Tank Davis fight. And I'm not saying it definitely is, but I'm saying an argument could be made there. But in no way am I sitting here saying Mike Tyson fighting Jake Paul is the best thing for boxing. In no way am I saying that. Please.
Right.
Yeah, but let me lay on something.
So hold on. Let me just do this real quick. Bub, you keep trying to attack Clay. Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish.
I'm not done. I'm not done. Hold on.
All right, go ahead.
Bub's boxing. I said support all. He said support all boxing, like you said. Brother, when Gervonta Tank Davis and Lamont Roach is fighting, I will cover it. I bet you money you won't see me ignore it. I'm going to talk about the fight when it comes, right? But I'm still holding on to my argument that it's not a fight that I care to see, right? And clearly it's not a fight that the whole boxing space wants to see. It doesn't mean that you're getting into your defend Tank Davis decision mode, because I guess you support this fight because you're wondering who's going to win and you can't wait to find out what's going to happen because you're in the dark. So I won't ruin the movie for you and tell you how the fight ends, brother. I won't ruin the movie. You understand what I'm saying to you? I'm gonna everybody keep your opinions to yourself and don't ruin it for Bub Talk Boxing, because he's not sure who's gonna win and he can't wait to see great boxing on March 1st when Lamont Roach and Tank Davis fight this crazy fight that the whole space has been waiting for. So don't ruin the movie. Bub, let me know how it goes on March 2nd and what you thought about the results. And did you expect it or didn't you expect it? I know that the suspension is killing you right now. Go ahead. My bad, guys.
I was just gonna tell you, just drop the link and let them come up and talk to you. Yo, have faith. Don't talk in the chat. If you really want to address it face to face on the panel. We're not here kicking Tank's back in, bro. First of all, everyone
Because
in
I
here
don't hear you
believes
talking about Jake Paul every day. Exactly, because he's not fighting. I'm not a fan
every
of
day.
him being a boxer. I don't care about his boxing like that. I talk about his event. So thanks for making my argument. Thanks for making my argument.
Yo, that's oh my god, dude, just come up here, bro. You just go.
No, don't come
not
up here.
looking
Don't
good.
come up here. You're
Yeah.
holding
Oh,
up,
never mind.
holding up progress. Don't
Nope.
come up here.
Yeah. Don't come up here. Then
hold on.
stay there.
Wait, Ray. Let's let Echo tap in right quick because I think he's going to talk about some boxing.
Oh, he rolled
Go ahead,
up.
Echo. My bad.
Here he goes. Good, Echo. You're up.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, everybody's talking about a fight, fights they don't happen or whatever. And everybody's blaming, condemning, criticizing, and complaining. And what's the point? I mean, everybody's got an opinion, obviously. But, opinions are not facts. And I agree with the other speaker who said it'd be good if they all lost, because then they wouldn't have the leeway to do what they need to do. They'd be forced to fight more. And also, it'd be better if everybody was, challenging themselves. But obviously, it's not happening. I'm not against Tank. I think he's a great fighter, or he could be a great fighter. But the facts are he's not fighting, the right people. And what really does drive pay-per-view? It's the public. If there's a demand, they'll pay for it. That's why you get somebody, who'll go do 200,000, and some of them will do 1 million, whatever, like Tank and Ryan, regardless whether you think Tank should have won that fight easily or Ryan, should have won or whatever. But the facts are that was the demand that people wanted. And nowadays, everywhere is all pay-per-view. You can do streams. You can pay $1 or £1 or whatever to watch it. So there's a lot of money lost on these pay-per-views. So what really drives pay-per-views really is the demand for the fights. If, say, anybody fought, say, I don't know, an MMA fighter that wasn't very good, that wouldn't do very good to pay-per-view, for sure. But why do you think somebody like maybe I don't know, I'm trying to think of somebody that would do a good pay-per-view, like a mixed fight, but most of them are not going to do so well unless that person's really well known. And Ryan Garcia is not a champion, but he did 1.2 million with Tank. And why is that? But then you've got two very good fighters, or excellent fighters, in Spence and Crawford. They do 700,000. Now the biggest gate of any fight wasn't a pay-per-view. That was between Chavez and that was 132,000. That was, so it's different era now. It is. And the thing is, if you don't fight, nobody's going to force you to fight. And Tank or anybody else is not listening to the fans. They don't care. They're not really bothered. That's why they put on stupid shit on Twitter, having arguments with boxers. What's the point? There's no point in that. It doesn't achieve anything. And as somebody said earlier about, these boxers nowadays, they're not really going to do much else other than box because they're not marketable. And it's the image as well, more than anything, that helps you become a pay-per-view star. Just like the great ones in the past. You think Tyson in the beginning, he had a great image. He was considered like a young kid, very polite. But later on, he started doing more stupid stuff and started to become more violent and aggressive. But that didn't hurt him because he already built up that fan base. But nowadays, it's all about image now, more than anything else. More image over substance. That's what I got to say anyway about this.
Yeah,
I want to drop, okay? I want to more. and Ray and
Oh,
everybody.
you out? All right, no doubt, boxing anchor.
All right.
Let's take
Salute,
care, guys.
man. Thanks for showing up. Yo, above boxing, you're right, bro. And that's probably where the frustration is coming from me at. You know what I'm saying? That I have no interest in it. But you know, when the panels open up, this seems to be the conversation that ends up popping up. You know what I'm saying? People end up coming back to Tank. I genuinely don't care. You know what I'm saying? But I will push back at somebody trying to sell me as to why I should care. You know what I'm saying? Or share it with me why I should like something I don't like. I don't care. You know what I want to talk
Give
about?
me my headset case and my other headset.
You know what I want to talk about?
Yeah, and give me the other one, the other square one. It should be up there. Yeah. Hurry up.
I want to talk about, you know, the fights that are happening. There's so
Exactly.
many good fights that are happening. You know what I'm saying? I would love to get everybody on the panel's opinion on what they think is going to happen between Robeisy Ramirez and Rafael Espinoza and him going a 130 potentially afterwards. Or we could talk about the fights happening this weekend. I'm much more interested in what they think Amanda Serrano is going to bring to the table that's different. What adjustments she's going to make this a fight that she's able to edge off that win, being that she came so close to winning before. And some people feel like she did win that fight, you know what I'm saying, against KAYTIE Taylor. Let's see what adjustments they're going to make. Is Zerto going to put himself in position to fight against Jayo Patai if he's able to get this win over Billum Smith? Or is Billum Smith going to upset Zerto? Because I think there's a good chance he can do that as well. I think people are sleeping on his ability to give Zerto the biggest fight of his life, you know what I'm saying? The biggest challenge of his life. And of course, the biggest conversation that's probably going into this weekend, which is William Zepeda and Tevin Farmer. I'm very interested on picking Echo's brain as to what a stylistically great fight this could be, with Tevin Farmer being able to stay on the outside box, sort of like a Bivol a little bit, and Zepeda's ability to cut the ring off and put Zepeda in Zepeda able to cut the ring off and put Tevin Farmer in a situation where he gets stopped. We can talk about all that. We could talk about that right now. Matter of fact,
that's what's happening, isn't it, Clay?
Yeah,
why should we be wasting time talking about what if and buts and maybes?
Right.
We should be responding to what is.
Thank you.
Rather than what.
Yes.
You know, it's like if you say to me, "I'm going to punch you," right? Or I might punch you. I won't respond to what if you do. You say, "Well, if you kick, if you punch, if you elbow, if you headbutt." I'm not going to respond to what if. Only what is. And the fights today, they've got to happen. You know what I mean? And people are talking about things that may never happen. And that's happened, you know, in the history of boxing a lot. You know what I mean? There's many boxing fights should have happened, but they didn't. And it's going to continue to happen. But there's no point talking about it. Fantasy matchups don't really make a lot of difference. You know, you can say, well, could Sugar Ray Leonard have beat Sugar Ray Robinson? It's not really a good, you know, debate.
Yeah,
it's
100%. It's not.
And I don't debate about things that are not important.
Exactly, and I lose interest in, and that's why sometimes I get quiet in the background. Whenever I do come back in here, I'm probably sound like I'm hating on the conversation because I'm just like, no,
you're not hating. You're definitely not hating. You're giving your opinion. An opinion is opinion. You know, just like. If I have an opinion who will win between, I don't know, a boxer, say Shakur and Tank, I can give my opinion. I can base it on my experience, my knowledge, and my wisdom and what I know. Okay. And then I'll get somebody come on there and start maybe attacking me and say, well, what do you know about boxing? And blah, 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 blah. You know, you've got it wrong. You know, Tank's knocked everybody out. But that doesn't mean anything. The past doesn't equal the future. It doesn't matter about what happened last week or last month. Another day is another day. A boxer can change. There's many boxers, Clay, that was around in the 80s that were really touted as being the next Sugar Ray Leonard. I can name one, a guy called Errol Christie. He was a very famous boxer in Britain. And they were touting him to be the next Sugar Ray Leonard. And then he eventually fought a guy called Mark Kaler and got knocked out, and he was never the same again. So all these people saying people are overrated, right? It's not they're overrated, it's we overrate them. And we've got this fanboy thing going on all the time. You know, this halo thing, you know, you've got this what you call halo effect. If you love somebody so much, you won't ever see the bad in that person. Even if he got knocked down in a fight, anybody got knocked down in a fight, their favorite fighter, they'll make an excuse why. And they'll make excuses why he won as well. Yeah. It's just the halo effect. People are going to do this. If you don't like somebody, you'll find everything you can to support your belief. If you love somebody so much, you'll defend him in any way you can. And this is what's happening now in boxing. That's why all these channels are arguing with each other, because they've all got something to push. Either it's their favorite fighter or their favorite, network or whatever it might be, or their favorite promotion company, regardless of who it is, whether it's PBC, whether it's Top Rank, whoever, or Matchroom. People are going to defend that till their dying day. People will defend Anthony Joshua and say that he's still the best heavyweight, even though he's been beaten twice by Usyk.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that. And we know for a fact that certain boxers have only done so much in their career. I mean, Tank beat Pedraza, right? Mm-hmm. He's the only champion he's ever beaten that was champion.
People don't want to hear that.
True.
That's fact.
Don't hear it.
That is not me hating. I like Tank. I think he's got potential to be an all-time great. But that's not an all-time great record.
Yeah, I want to pivot to that Zerto fight. I got Zerto getting knocked out, man. I think gonna get.
Let's talk about it, because I'm telling you, I think they sleeping on Billum, bro. Listen, bro, I think they sleeping on this fight. I think this fight can very well go the same way that we just saw Gallegos and Kogo this past weekend.
Yeah.
With
I'm gonna tell you why, because I didn't expect Smith to beat Lawrence Okolie like that. Man, he schooled him, man. And Lawrence Okolie's a big. I mean, he's about 6'6", big guy. Zerto's nothing but a guy. Yeah, Zerto's the guy who ate himself out of the super middleweight division. He doesn't look good when he comes in. He's flabby. He's flabby around the midsection. He's not in top shape. That's why Bivol was able to beat the brakes off of him. So I see him getting stopped, and I could be wrong, but that's my prediction.
I think Zerto's getting his first real cruiserweight fight, in my opinion. You know what I mean? This is going to be his first real one. I think Zerto coming. You know what I mean? Wasn't Zerto at? Am I bragging? He was at light heavyweight, right?
Yeah.
No. He was at super middle. Remember, he fought Jesse Hart at super middle.
Right. Then he went. Did he go past light heavyweight?
He fought Bivol at 75. Got schooled. He fought Bivol. Right. At 75, he got schooled, and then he moved up to cruiserweight. But this guy Smith, he's a big guy. Man, this dude's a heavyweight coming down to cruiserweight. This guy just a blowed up middleweight. Who decided he didn't want to make weight anymore, so he just moved up to cruiserweight. Pretty much. And I think he's in for a rude awakening. I think he gets stopped.
It's definitely going to be a very competitive fight, in my opinion. I mean, Zerto can definitely step up and shine and do his thing. I mean, I think that's what Oscar has him there for, and that's what they're believing in him to do. But yeah, man, this is a real big guy who's properly tested, in my opinion. And the cruiserweight division, everybody's not so tested. And I think when you put the weight behind Billum coming down from heavyweight and being a big cruiserweight like that, and being as successful he is, and then you put Zerto, who's at super middleweight, then went up to light heavyweight and didn't find success there. And whenever I see these guys move up aggressively like this, I always start to think that there's a little bit of laziness kicking in, right? I don't want to cut as much weight. I don't want to have to be held to all these restrictions, and they're thinking that them walking around and fighting in their natural. The natural way they walk around is the best thing, which could be, but at times also, is that the in shape version of yourself or the out of shape version of yourself as you get bigger? Like you hear about Errol Spence talking about fighting Erislandy Lara right now at 160, right? That's what rumors is going around. I don't know what's going on, but in my opinion, if he were to go to 160, to me, that's just Errol Spence saying he doesn't want to cut weight to be at 154. You know what I'm saying? Which means like you don't want to be, you're not liking the gym life like you did before, in my opinion. You feel me? You're not liking the commitment to the sport like you were before, the road work, all the things that you had to do to get fight ready. You're not really into it as much as you were. And how does that translate in a fight against an Erislandy Lara at 160? Are you in shape? How did Danny Garcia look when he got in the ring with Arizlani Lowry? He gave up. He was like, well, I'm just good, man. I don't even want. Was everybody shocked that he gave up and was like, I don't really want to box no more? That's why he sat out for 2.5 years. He's like, all right, I'll do a fight at 160. Nah, you should have been at 154. That's the weight class we know you're supposed to be competing at. You went to 160. So what is this version of Zurdo at cruiserweight look like? Because they're talking about making him go up to heavyweight. Is Zurdo going to be a heavyweight?
No way.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? I don't see that. So I think that fight has upset written all over it, potentially. All over it. What do you think, Echo?
Well, I think like I can't see who it is who's speaking.
Coach Eddie.
Who made the comment about Bacola? Who was that?
Coach Ellie. Coach Eddie. Sorry, right next to you. Coach
Eddie. I can't. I'm on my mobile phone. I can't see anything, to be honest.
No, I got you.
Can't even see myself, to be honest. Yeah, Lawrence Bacola is like 6'6". He's like a heavyweight, you know. And Bill Smith beat him. So this is going to be a difficult fight for Zurdo, for sure.
100%. What do you think, Ray?
I'm looking at the upset rule too. I mean, it has a lot of smoke and mirrors in this fight, and the smoke and mirrors is that this is Oscar's guy. Only way this fight may go into the play of him if it goes the distance and he gets the hometown nod, but I don't see it going that way. I think, like you said, when you got a guy coming from heavyweight and a guy moving up because he's lazy, it means something. It's meaningful. What accolades did he bring? What standards did he bring in his training that got him ready for this fight? You know, we have to see what it happens. I mean, the weigh-in should be today, right? So we should see it.
The weigh-ins ain't gonna be today.
I'm sorry, not the weigh-ins. I'm sorry, the conference. The conference. I'm sorry, the conference should be in today.
So we have Friday. To see. They're fighting Saturday.
Friday, right? So we should see the weigh-in, and at the weigh-in, we kind of could tell how this is going to pan out and how it's going to look. Zurdo didn't look great his last fight, and this is not going to be something that we're going to be looking at like, okay, this is the fight that we need to have. This is going to be challenging, and he may get the win. I mean, it's all up for speculation. I'm not playing both sides of the street. I'm just talking reality here, but it just doesn't look favorable in his opinion. In my opinion, I think Smith gets a nod.
Yeah, I mean, I think Chris Billum Smith is more of he's well adapted to the cruiserweight division. That's his division. That's where he's supposed to be fighting at. That's where he's in shape at. He's cutting weight to be there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
He's getting in fighting shape to be in that division. And I question if Gilberto Ramirez is fighting to be. Is he in condition? Is he in fighting condition for real at cruiserweight, being that he's fought as low as 160 pounds. You know what I'm saying? Most of his career looks like it's been really at the super middleweight division. He had a lot of fights also at light heavyweight, but you know, when he was ultimately tested by the ultimate test, he fell short when he fought against Dimitri Bivol, and then won a unanimous decision over Joe Smith Jr. And Joe Smith Jr. was actually, I think, a cruiserweight fight as well, now that I think about it. And then Arsen, I mean, these guys weren't really, you know, like he has 2 unanimous decisions in the cruiserweight division. So you already see his power has kind of like neutralized in that division. Like he's not as much of a puncher as he was when he was down there in the light heavyweight and super middleweight division. Chris Billum Smith looks like he's more tried true in that division. I think this fight is going to be super competitive. I think he's a champion for a real reason. Obviously, the winner of this fight looking to fight probably Opatai. The cruiserweight division isn't that stacked with talent, right? I'm saying these guys fight each other pretty easily. How do you see Jai Opatai doing against either one of these fighters? Does he just dominate?
He smokes him.
Right?
Smokes him.
That's what I see too.
Smith might be a challenge because of the coming down the weight and the strength from coming from heavyweight, but I mean, no, I don't see neither one of them winning. I think they get smoked.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be a good fight though, but I think Gilberto Ramirez is risking I think it's gonna be an upset fight right here. What do you guys think about the Tevin Farmer William Zepeda fight? Now try to tune out what you've seen with Tevin Farmer in his career. You know, we know he was supposed to fight Tank back in the day. That never came to fruition. Let's shake that out of our head and let's just be fair. the Tevin Farmer that we saw fight Raymond
Mortala
a few months back. Did you guys get to see that fight?
No, I didn't see it. No.
Okay, what about you, Coach Eddie?
I think he lost that fight. People thought it was a little bit controversial, but I think he lost that fight if I remember correctly.
I saw highlights. I did.
Yeah,
he definitely lost the fight.
Yeah,
he got stopped, didn't he, in the corner or on the ropes?
To be honest, I'm gonna tell you, me and Tevin fought on the same card back, and that was back in 2012, I think, or 13. We was freaking in Columbus, Georgia. He fought on the card. Me and him did.
Okay.
Tevin, that lets you know how long he been in the game.
Yeah.
Tevin is I like Tevin. He's past it. You know, I see him losing this fight, to be honest. I like Tevin. Hope he's able to pull it off, but Tevin kind of suffers. He doesn't have a lot of punching power, and most of his fighting ability is based on being elusive. What I'm saying? Footwork, slipping punches. Making guys miss. Because like I said, he doesn't have a lot of firepower, so I think he's gonna be up against it. If he wins, I'd be surprised, to put it like that. I don't think he gets blown out. I don't think he gets stopped. But I think because Tevin is a tough guy, got a lot of pride. I don't see him getting stopped, but I think he's probably gonna lose his fight, maybe like a 8-4, 9-3, something like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. What do you think, Ray? Is it over for Tevin, man?
That's what I'm gonna say. Ring IQ can't save you. All right. So the ability, the Tevin Farmer's years in the game can't save him from what's coming. I don't think he's prepared for somebody like I mentioned to you before, Clay, that's going to be throwing 120 punches around, making sure that 70% of them land. They're going to be thudding strong punches. They're going to hurt. He's going to walk you down. He's going to make you uncomfortable. And William Zepeda, as he's coming forward, the only chance I see William Zepeda has is being a lateral boxer, finding his shots, attacking the body of William Zepeda, and not getting hit, not moving into these ropes, because that's where William Zepeda shines. He gets these guys into the ropes. If Tevin Farmer can sit in the middle of the ring and he can move laterally, take a step back to create some space, utilize his skill set, which he still has pretty fast hands and ability to throw a nice clean jab. If he can utilize those tactics and attack the body with some good feints, he has a chance. There's always a chance. They're boxers, but I just don't think the skills pay the bills on that end. And like I said, ring IQ would just be his just due, because I don't think he's going to have it tonight. I'm sorry, Saturday night.
If he lands 50% of his punches and they're, the power shots, that's usually a knockout anyway. So,
right.
I mean, it's going to be difficult, especially if you've lost a step, so, and he's got to stay offline all the time, really.
All night.
Yeah.
I think
shining the torch on somebody, but being offline, like you're offline, but you're shining your torch on them and they can't shine the torch on you.
Right.
Exactly.
And that's what it is. When you set your center line, shining your torch on the person, but they can't do it on you. So like Whitaker used to do. He used to do that all the time.
Yeah. I think that William Zepeda, obviously we're going to see him cutting the ring off. He's going to have to. Tevin Farmer might not be a lot of things, but he's not stupid. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to fight a fight he shouldn't be fighting. I feel like Cabrera fought a fight he shouldn't have fought against William Zepeda in their last fight. He got baited into trying to be an exciting fighter, he tried to kind of do the Karen thing, and I think he got exposed. He got hit to the body to the point to where he actually lost his legs. He allowed William Zepeda to chop that tree down and slow him down. I don't think Tevin Farmer is going to do that. I think he's going to keep this. He's going to be paying attention to the angles. He's going to be slipping. But also, I want to give Tevin Farmer an opportunity, and I'm going to shine some light on his ability to use his timing and use William Zepeda's forward movement, and the fact that he likes to throw a lot of punches. There's going to be opportunities in there for Tevin Farmer to hit Zepeda on his chin, and he could hurt Zepeda. I know he don't got a lot of power. You know what I'm saying? But it can happen. I think that Tevin Farmer is going to have to wait for that opportunity to come, but be more focused on winning these rounds, outlanding Williams Zepeda and taking advantage as much as he can of Williams Zepeda's forward activity, right? Him moving forward and throwing a lot of punches and try to get in there and punch kind of like while he's punching, but not necessarily. I don't know if that makes any sense, like on an angle. Very Karen like what Karen did with Boots. Very much like that, but don't stay in there. Don't stay in there. Get yours and then bounce, right? Get yours and then get the hell out of there. But I do see Williams Zepeda winning the fight. I'm not going to act like I don't see him winning the fight. I want him to win the fight, like I told you guys earlier, if you heard me speaking on it, because I want to see Shakur and Williams Zepeda. I want to see Shakur have that test in front of him, and I want to see what he does with that. But I think it's going to be a competitive fight, though. I think Tevin Farmer is just going to make it competitive, and I think Tevin Farmer ultimately does get Williams Zepeda ready for Shakur Stevenson. I think this was a good idea by the Zepeda team to fight Tevin Farmer. I think he's going to do a good job getting him ready for that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Shakur come back. I am, to be honest.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh man,
I want to see what he can really do when
Ross Clark. Sorry, Echo. I'm laughing at Ross Clark.
I read it as well. Yeah.
Yo, Ross Clark, you ain't shit.
Can
bro. Leave that man alone, bro. He can't help that, bro. That's what God gave him, bro. He working with what God gave him, bro. They got him in far, bro.
Clay, when I read it, Echo, when I read it, the first thing I thought was if Williams Zepeda gets hypnotized, looking to see which way he goes.
I was not, because I've got my TV on now and I can see the actual chat, and I looked at that. That's why I laughed at one point. I just saw what he was.
Yeah, whatever it takes, bro. If you're gonna use that eye to hypnotize him, whatever it takes, use all the tools that God gave you, bro. That's something you got that everybody else don't got, bro. Don't let nobody change you, bro. Whatever you got,
right.
use it.
Yeah, shout out to Ross Clark.
There are some good fights on there. You know, so we have to appreciate that, you know, rather than trying to appreciate what we've not got.
100%. Bruce Carrington is getting ready to fight on
exactly.
on the Mike Tyson card, and that's going to be a big fight because Bruce fell short. I thought he was going to do better in his last fight. I think he tried to get caught up in doing the Tank Davis thing, walking. I think he got excited to seeing what Tank did against Frank Martin, and you know there was rumors that he was part of that Tank camp a little bit, getting ready for Frank Martin. He might have let that Tank thing rub off on him a little bit, and he started doing that walk forward with the two hands up and the Canelo Tank approach, and he was able, you know, the guy was able to neutralize all that and not give him those looks he wanted. I'm hoping that in this fight coming up that Shushu goes back into his bag of what he actually does, you know what I'm saying? Which is box. He's a great boxer. I want to see him in the conversation.
You know what I want to say, Clay, is, you know, like you speaking on Blood's channel the other day, you were saying about the boxer's got to take responsibility, not just the coach.
Right.
Because what they learn in the gym, you know, over the months or whatever before the fight, they should be able to think for themselves how to apply that and not always have the, you know, the trainer say, well, you know, throw more punches, knock the guy out. That's not good advice. That's not. You've only got to watch some other fights, you know, with other great coaches. They'll give specific instructions. They will. I mean, you've only got to watch the Duran and Marvin Hagler fight, where Goody Petronelli says, you know, every time he always leans to the left through the shovel hook. That's what he says. He actually says that. You know, he's leaning to the left.
Right.
But then obviously Duran adapts to that and starts landing his own right hand. That's why that fight was a battle of the coaches as much as the fighters.
Right. That's kind of like how I put that fight with Derek. Well, I said Derek James, but with Errol and Terrence, I said it involved Derek just in Bomac just as much as it involved Terrence and Errol. It was just like coaching happening in that fight where, you know, Bomac was so excited because he was like, yeah, I out coached you, bro. You think you all that, and just because you got, you know what I'm saying, this well-decorated champion, my fight had the opportunity to showcase our strategy is going to be superior to your strategy. And you see that in a lot of fights. Some people might say that between Daniel Dubois and Anthony Joshua as well, right? That Don and Ben Davidson we're kind of like at war a little bit. Like I'm telling you, I'm coaching my fighter to a championship. You have the fighter with the better experience. You're right. Supposed to be the better fighter, but I'm going to get this fighter right here who's buying into my process to end your fighter quicker than you think. I know your fighter, and I'm going to show him that night.
I want to stop cap out. I'm going to drop the anchor right there for a minute because I've been saying that. No shade on Ben Davison, but me personally, I'm not saying he's a bad coach. I'm not saying, I don't want to say overrated. I'm just saying he got a lot of fanfare. He gets a lot of fanfare for guys that are already champions. You know, you can give me a champion, and I can, you know, I can stand in that corner. If he goes out and does his job, I'll get a little bit of credit for that, even though I wasn't there from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? And I think Don Charles, shout out to him. He definitely outcoached Ben Davison because he exploited Ben Davison. If you go back and watch Anthony Joshua when he was with Derek James, at least he had his hands up.
Right.
As soon as he got with Ben Davison, those hands dropped, and Anthony Joshua thought he was Tyson Fury for some reason because of who he was with. You know what I'm saying? Like, and Don Charles was able to look at the patterns that Anthony Joshua developed under Ben Davison. And they exploited it, which was the low lead hand, which is a sucker for a guy that throws a good right hand like Daniel Dubois. And Anthony Joshua is not the most elusive guy. He can't slip punches and bob away like Tyson Fury or Pernell Whitaker. You know, he's there to be hit. And that's what happened. They went out there, perfect game plan. This guy gonna come out. He got a false sense of security because he beat Francis Ngannou and then he beat Otto Wallin, which is a guy who can't really punch. So of course everybody was singing, Anthony Joshua was back, Ben Davison turned back, you know, gave Ben Davison a lot of credit. But look who you fought. You fought Francis Ngannou, who was the novice, and then you fought Otto Wallin, which is a guy who's a non-danger, no threat to you at all. Went in there against a two-fisted fighter like Daniel Dubois, power in both hands. I would say this is probably the hardest puncher he's ever faced. This is the hardest puncher you ever faced, and you go in there with your hands down. You so arrogant. The hardest puncher you ever fought, and you go with your hand down, and you get slapped. Daniel Dubois kind of reminds me of friggin' what's my man name?
Ball
Yeah. I mean the guy throwing punches. He's fast, throw a lot hard punches with both hands. Man, this guy's a problem for anybody. And I'm gonna tell you right now, if Tyson Fury gets in there with Daniel Dubois, Tyson Fury is going to sleep. If Usyk fights him again, he's going to sleep also. That kid got dynamite in both of his hands, and those guys are past it. Those guys are knocking on the door of 40, especially Usyk. If Daniel Dubois gets another crack at Usyk, you heard it here first. Usyk gets knocked out.
Listen, I want to add to what you're saying, right? Because I think the fight between Daniel Dubois and Anthony Joshua was a cerebral fight in many ways, and what I mean by that is that both these guys both these guys had a trajectory going downwards in their career, and it wasn't based so much on boxing skills. It was more on like this mental affliction, right? Like Anthony Joshua lost so much confidence from that Andy Ruiz situation, and he tried to get it back and become this boxer. And then Alexander Usyk, you know what I'm saying, he got it back with Andy Ruiz, right? Got it back in blood in the ring, but then went to move forward. I think he fought Pulev afterwards, if I'm correct. Don't quote me. But then moved on to fight Alexander Usyk to defend his titles there, and Alexander just schooled him, right? He did it twice. It hurt his ego, and you could tell because he started to try to make changes in his team and his regiments, and he started really being hard on himself. So then he went from his coaches to Robert Garcia, from Robert Garcia to Derek James, from Derek James to Ben Davidson. And in my opinion, when I saw Anthony Joshua moving, I said, all right, he's trying to get his confidence back. He started not throwing his hands like he used to. He started not being the fighter who I thought was his best chance at being the high level heavyweight boxer that everybody projected him to be, which is to be more like that guy who fought Dylan White, right? Those fights, the Klitschko, those fights that he was in where he let his hands go. He did get hit, but he let his hands go, and he wasn't doing that anymore. Derek tried to get him back to the basics, but ultimately with Ben Davidson, it seemed like all right, the fights that he had between Otto Wallin, between Jermaine Franklin, between Francis Ngannou weren't there to make him better, but there to give him his confidence back, right? To get him confident enough to let his hands go and start believe that he's the phenom that he was projected to be. The same thing with Daniel Dubois coming up short against George Joyce and then coming up short against Alexander Usyk, which a lot of people thought he won that fight based on that whole body gate, right? The body, I call it body gate, the fact that they said that blow was low and that he kind of didn't have his confidence anymore. And Don Charles was like really there to put the confidence back into him. But I'll agree with you here, and I agree with everything you said, but I'll say that Daniel Dubois' confidence came back in a more boxing organic way. He fought hard competition, beat hard competition, and therefore knew who he was when he went in the ring with Anthony Joshua. Whereas Anthony Joshua's confidence was a little bit like artificially flavored, GMO manufactured confidence. Because like you said, the guys who he stopped finding when he stopped Otto Wallin, when he stopped what's the guy name who Deontay Wilder beat up? What's his name?
Hergovich. No, let's start with an H.
Helenius.
Yes.
Yes. Helenius.
Knocking out Helenius, somebody who's already punchy, knocking out Francis Ngannou, somebody who's a novice to the game. He did get his confidence back, but he had false confidence, in my opinion, right? His confidence was like, yeah, but you didn't really do it against nobody for real. As soon as Daniel Dubois brings back that heat, you're gonna have a flashback. And it looks like that's what happened, right? As soon as Daniel Dubois touched him in the first round, he was like, Andy Ruiz 2.0. Oh no, you know what I'm saying? It kind of went into that mode where he couldn't compete at that level anymore. I think Daniel Dubois is officially back better than he ever left. I think he's super confident because he knows he's been battle tested. He's not under fake confidence. He's not being lied to. He's not fooling himself. He's tried true and he knows what he can do in this sport. And I think all those heavyweights are in a lot of danger from him, bro. Both hands power, and he's not scared to throw it. He's not scared to get hit, and he's listening to his corner. He's bought into the process, and is a dangerous dude in the heavyweight division right now.
Facts. I just want to shout out Blaze. I didn't know you was Ralph Tresvant, bro. That's crazy. No, I'm just messing with you, bro. I'm just messing with you, bro. When you showed your face, I was like, yo, what the hell? New addition to the building.
Yo,
I'm just playing, bro.
Gentlemen.
I'm just messing with you, Blaze.
Extra pause, bro. That man said, damn, Blaze, you pretty. I ain't know you was pretty.
Whoa. I ain't say that. Now, Clay, you reaching, Clay. Clay, you reaching now.
That man said, that man went crazy like Blaze. What do you think about these heavyweights, brother?
No, man, go ahead, Blaze.
That boy got crazy on you. Blaze
bounced. Oh no, I hope he did, man. He said he had bad reception, man. He probably tried to come up.
Brother, I would have bounced too. That was awkward and uncomfortable, bro. I apologize for putting you in that position for being part of the channel. I apologize on behalf of the channel. We apologize to you, Blaze, for putting you into that, position.
Man, listen, he good, man. He said he had bad reception, so he coming back. He back. He gonna definitely attack. You gonna be like, show your face. I'm like, you don't want to see my face, bro. I'm gonna break the camera. Listen.
Let's go into another fight that I'm also very interested in, which is the Robeisy Ramirez Rafael Espinoza fight. I'm sorry, this fight is a fight I've been waiting on. Robeisy Ramirez worked his way back into getting this rematch. Do you guys see this fight? I mean, you guys saw this fight last year, right? We watched Robeisy Ramirez and Rafael Espinoza. Am I wrong or right? Is everybody in the dark on that fight?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little bit in the dark, man. I just seen some highlights. Maybe you can recap it.
What? Okay, let me recap it. This was one of the best fights last year, fight of the year last year. Robeisy Ramirez coming and defending his 126-pound championship belt, the WBO title against Rafael Espinoza, this fighter who came out of nowhere, right? Comes out of Mexico, but he's a 126-pound fighter who's standing like 6'2" or something like that. 6'1". He's tall.
Yeah. I remember that fight. I remember now. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, let's get it. So this is one of the best fights last year, right? Robeisy Ramirez hurts Rafael Espinoza early in the fight, drops him. It looks like he's about to finish Rafael Espinoza in that round because Rafael gets up, but he never gets his legs back in that round. But he survives, literally survives that round. I think it was like the second or third round or something like that, maybe third or fourth, second. He was hurt very early in the fight. And ultimately, Rafael Espinoza turns it up, bro. Robeisy was winning a lot of rounds, but I'd say about mid, like 6th, 7th round, Rafael Espinoza started turning it up. And ultimately in the 12th round, just, I don't know, 100 plus punches around, finally dropped Robeisy Ramirez. And Robeisy Ramirez loses a close split decision. Very close split decision between those guys. It was crazy. You know what I'm saying? It was crazy to say the least. But at the end of the day, the rematch is here. The rematch is here. Robeisy Ramirez, the Olympian, coming into this fight. I don't know if he's a favorite anymore. Rafael Espinoza has defended the title one time, I believe, since they fought, maybe twice. I think one time since they fought, and now they're getting back at it here on this card on December 10th on the co-main event to Oscar Valdez and Emmanuel Navarrete. Right? I think. Well, I want to know what you guys think. Do you remember seeing the fight now at this point, Coach Eddie, or?
Yeah, I remember because the tall dude, he lost, right?
No, he won.
Yeah, he was the one. He was the underdog, right?
Yes, right. That's right. He was definitely the underdog.
Cause I remember, but I remember the short dude putting the hands on him, man.
Man, Robeisy had a lot of success. I think that Robeisy got a little too. I think he did more than he had to do. I think he got excited and he got caught up on trying to finish Rafael Espinoza because he saw he already finished him pretty much, right? He thought to himself, like, all right, you know what? I finished this dude damn near. And he looked like he was chasing the stop. And that ended up putting him in a situation where I think he was just exchanging too much with this tall.
Yeah, I thought it was like a lot of controversy around this fight. Like people thought that, dude got robbed, you know what I mean? If I remember correctly.
I don't know if me personally.
I don't think he beat Robeisy Ramirez. Robeisy Ramirez was just like, I think it was a close fight, but I think it was like we seen in the last couple of weeks, we seen a lot of aggression from him in that fight. He was trying to get him out of there. He was running into stuff, everything in the kitchen sink because he was just too active and too aggressive. He wasn't letting the fight come to him. He was just trying to be like dominant in that fight. That's why he lost that fight. It was just the aggression was too much. There was no sit back, no relax, no like really try to settle in there and get to pick the shots. He fought an aggressive fighter, and if I'm not mistaken, didn't he sit him down too, Clay?
Yeah.
Right. Right. That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, it showed like that get back was there, and it was a close fight that just went the other way of the champ. That's it. I mean, the new champ.
What would have changed that fight would have been punch selection.
Right.
And throwing at the right time rather than just throwing loads of punches. Because there's 3 ways you could throw punches. You could throw an attack by combination, which is like a jab cross hook, which is like basics. Then you've got like a progressive indirect attack where you're doing feints and things like that. Then you've got angles as well. Do you know what I mean? So you can't keep just throwing attack by combination. That doesn't work against good fighters. And eventually you're going to get found out.
Right.
I think if Robeisy would have, like you said, selected his shots more and been more so working, if he would have allowed Rafael Espinoza to do what he was trying to do, which was make a comeback and win this fight, and he would have sat back a little bit more and allowed that fight to come to him, I think the stoppage would have came to him. I think what Ray said is right on point. The fact that he got onto attack mode with somebody who needed him to get on attack mode. Rafael Espinoza needed Robeisy Ramirez to fight the way he fought in order for him to make the comeback based off that knockdown that was damn near a 10-7 round. But a 10-8 round, know what I'm saying, is what they're going to have it down as. But I think Rafael Espinoza might have got put down twice in that round. I think about it.
Yeah, he did.
Right? Exactly. Yep. That's why he got caught up chasing that stoppage. Right? He was chasing the stoppage. And I think Robeisy knows that, right? It really emotionally distressed after that fight. Literally, I think he was crying in the back locker room. It was crazy, right? I think he understood that he allowed that fight to slip away from him. Going into this fight, Robeisy, in my opinion, sits back a little bit. Rafael Espinoza, in my opinion, fights one way, which is he comes forward. He brings a lot of pressure. He's very William Zepeda-ish in his mindset with the way he approaches boxing. Robeisy is an intelligent Olympian, right? From out of Cuba. He comes, from out of Cuba. He comes with that amateur background. He's fundamentally solid. And I think that's going to be the difference in his fight coming up. You'll see Rafael Espinoza trying to be the power puncher, trying to be the guy who's pushing Robeisy Ramirez back. I expect to see Robeisy Ramirez being an intelligent boxer in this fight, understanding that the pressure to make the fight exciting is not on him anymore. Rafael is who he is. He's earned his reputation in that division. Robeisy can count on that amateur background and on that pedigree that he brings in the ring to really just separate himself and just saying there's levels to this boxing game, young brother, and you're not here yet. I'm going to go into my old bag of just being smarter than you, schooling you on how this boxing really works, and Rafael Espinoza is going to go right back into this fight trying to break the mold and bring exciting boxing to the space. And I think he's also in this fight making an argument for his presence at 130, as rumors are circulating that Rafael Espinoza is going to be moving up to 130 after this fight, or could very well be doing it. So he might be trying to make an argument as to why he should be must-see boxing at 130. So I expect to see Rafael Espinoza extra aggressive, and hopefully Robeisy is smart enough to take advantage of that and use it against the young bull who's not used to being in the limelight and not used to being that top dog like Robeisy, in my opinion.
Right, and another thing is, you can tell that fight got out of control because Robeisy Ramirez is always on his toes. He's a very active fighter, and he's very smart when he moves in and out. That at that point, Clay, when he got over aggressive, he got very flat footed and very wide, and he was trying to land those shots, and that's where he got out of control, and that's where it came back and bit him in the ass, unfortunately. So, moving forward, we'll see how it works, because now we have a guy who already been in the ring with you. He knows what to expect. He might go in there and try to get you a couple of hard shots and get you off balance, trying to get your get back, and then lead you right back into the same soup kettle and see if you're going to eat that soup, because that's it. If you're either going to fail or you're going to win, based on what Ramirez responds to.
100%, 100%. Blaze, you back, man? Are you back? I don't think Blaze is back. I think he's struggling to get that reception going where he needs to be. Either that or he's just uncomfortable with you being next to him, Ray.
Man, stop. Look,
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just saying you are next to him and he is kind of extra quiet. I think maybe I should move the screen around a little bit. Maybe I should put you up here in the corner somewhere.
It's fine. Space. I was just teasing, bro. Me as my brother.
Look, acclimate back to the panel. You know what I mean? I don't want to just rush. You know what I mean? I'm just saying maybe just separate for a little bit. Give him a little space. It is what it is.
But I think. Sorry, go on, carry on.
No, we just be.
No, he's just having fun.
I was going to say that what you've said earlier about focusing on what's going on now rather than what could be. I think that's what I believe anyway. I totally agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, you think so? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
it's wasting time. It's like wasting time on things that are not important. It's like I could debate with anybody on boxing, on the history of boxing, very easily.
Right.
And very few people know enough about it to debate with me.
That's a fact.
However, why would I debate something that's not important?
100%.
I don't feel it's important. And really, a true debate is really, trying to listen to the other person as well.
Right.
Not just me talking, And there's, a lot of people just want to make you wrong. Like what Blue Blood said yesterday. I watched the replay and he was saying that you want to make me wrong, rather than you be right. And it's just a waste of time, to be honest.
And in this
everyone's
space
got their own opinion.
And in this space today, Echo, what ends up happening is people like you, right? And I'm cut from the same mind state that you're in, where I feel like I'm the type of person, when I feel like it's a dead horse, I'll let you have it. I'll say, okay, bro, whatever you think, I'm cool with that. And then you know what happens? He got cooked. That's why he got cooked. And it's like, now you got this reputation of supposedly getting cooked, and people don't know how to separate a cooking from it's not worth arguing about. Like, it's not helping me out. I'm not getting paid for this. My family's not coming off better for doing this. I don't need to be arguing about something that's beat beat into the ground.
Stranger
Like
Things, bro. Stranger Things.
Yeah,
It's
you know
just
what
a
I mean.
waste of time. It's a waste of
It is.
time.
It
It
is.
I
And
mean,
is.
people don't understand
my
it.
And look,
attitude is, if you're going to debate about something that's really important,
right.
you know,
And if you do want to make
and
it
it's
Echo, sorry, Echo, I
no,
apologize. I'll keep your thought.
go
Go
on,
ahead.
carry on. No, I was saying it's got
Uh,
to be factual, not opinion.
right, right.
I could
I
say to
literally,
you the biggest puncher in boxing is George Foreman,
Mm.
right? Whatever, you know.
and right, and
But that
people say
doesn't make
Mike
it
Tyson,
factual. So
Frazier, Joe Lewis, Rocky Marciano. They'll say a lot of guys that were able to knock people
yeah,
out with. Yeah, I get it. You're absolutely right, and that's
but
where
you
I
know
was going
the
with.
guy that knocked the most people out in heavyweight boxing was Primo Carnero. He knocked out more than anybody. He
Mhm.
had 71 knockouts. He had more than George Foreman. But
Right.
he's never going to be rated the greatest puncher ever.
Yeah, man.
You know,
It's just, I like the term build, because that's why I like to think I try to promote is building. You know, from my hood or whatever, you know, my town, we build. We get in ciphers and we build on boxing. We bring our own perspective on it, and we all, you know, agree to disagree. Some of us agree at times. It's part of the game. We keep the needle moving forward and we building, because at the end of the day, it's about us all hopefully walking away with
Where
perspective.
was something? Right. Right.
rather
And
than
Too
on
just
many
giving your
times
opinion and
right.
we
thinking
get
you're
into
right.
these debates and they want their narrative to
And
reign
it's not even.
supreme, or they
It's
want the other
right.
narrative to be buried in the
I was
dirt.
just going to say that it's not even about being a debate. It's more of an argument. It's like
Yes.
you go up, you know, and I'm a victim of going to these platforms and talking, you know, and I don't mind because I feel that I can stand on a strong ground. But sometimes it gets so manipulated when you're getting cut off or put in back rooms or muted or, you know, ask a question when
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to have the conversation, and the
Yeah.
conversation is not going their way, so they move the needle, and then it just becomes like Clay said. You're like, oh, you know what? It ain't even worth us having this conversation in. And they go, oh, you got smoked, you got cooked, you're a clown, and then the name calling comes, and then you get the fan base jumping in there, and it becomes something different. No one's disagreeing with the views of your opinions. Echo. A lot of times, it's not the fact of the opinions; it's the fact that the misleading of the conversation, and you try to
Mm.
bring some clarity to the misleading of the conversation, and then you get the pushback because they don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to hear the other side of the argument. They don't want to understand that there are two sides to every part. They don't understand that there is a line that was brought out there and that came to a conclusion where they came with their opinion. Whether, oh, he said that because he's ducking, but then if we say that, you know, this guy didn't fight him because he was ducking, and that might be your favorite fighter, or this guy didn't want to fight this guy because he's ducking, he picked this guy. No disrespect. I'm not bringing up the situation. I'm saying generally, then it's, oh, you guys are hating or you're this. And
Mm.
no,
Yeah.
we're just drawing a parallel to your universe and you don't like how it feels. So when you're uncomfortable, you reach out to call people names and discredit them for things that are not true.
Mm.
And it's crazy because that's why I call it Bob Ross, the painters, the narrative painters, because that's what they do. And I'm not talking about anybody in general. I'm just saying it in generic fashion. So I just wanted to be known that this is not boxing talk. This is not a debate. You want to debate? Get a neutral person, have them ask a question. We talk about it for a few minutes. We go on. We move to the next topic. That is a debate.
Mm.
And let the fans in the chat say who's right, who's wrong, regardless of who they're fans of. It's what's more convincing wins the debate. It's not, and who brings more facts. It's not who argues the loudest in the most disgusting terms that they use to describe you. Those are not debates. They're poor man arguments, and I say they sound like chicks with their panties in a bunch. Excuse me, no disrespect to the ladies in the chat, but that's what it sounds like.
Well, you know, the thing is, it's like you were saying, you know, about arguing. You know, I mean, when somebody loses the argument, usually the tool of the debater is slander, and that's where it becomes personal.
Yep.
You know, so, and that's what happens. You know, using all these fallacies to try to trick people into get into these, misinformation. You know, leading people down the wrong, using red herrings and all this lot. You know, all these fallacies that people try, and I know somebody that does this a lot, but he would never debate with me on boxing.
We know that.
You know, and
That is a fact.
and this is what's happening a lot nowadays. Just, you know, like what Blue Blood said yesterday, people are just being on there just to prove they're not that they've got a good opinion, but just to prove you wrong.
Yeah, because they think that they don't think, by the way, they're right. They're right as far as the boxing space, as far as the people in the chats, the super chats, the hundreds of people that are on these channels at times. They're here to hear the arguments. They want to see these debates. It really is what attracts the money. And you got people like Showbiz. Shout out to Showbiz. I always shout him out because he's a trendsetter in this game right now. You may agree or disagree with his approach, but he really has found a way to continue to speak about. And I'm being honest with you, it's the panels. You know what I mean? These panels it's very risky to do these panels. I'm not lying to you. I'm thinking about aiming towards getting more of a consistent panel. You know what I'm saying? And kind of stopping the variety from coming up, or even having like the strangers come up for a hot second and take them off the panel, because a lot of times they come in here and they move the needle in a direction that turns the conversation away from actual boxing and turns it into what they want to talk about, which is their favorite fighter, and they want to present arguments to support their favorite fighter. And I think at times when your favorite fighter is not even on the list of conversation, it's kind of inappropriate to bring him in. Like, we're sitting here, if you look at the thumbnail for this whole entire segment that I did today, there was no Tank Davis on there, there's no Devin Haney on there, there's no Shakur Stevenson on there, but somehow it comes full circle and it ends up back on these topics. You know what I mean? And I think that's because of the panel. I think it's because of the people that's on it, because if you put me, Ray, Eddie, Coach Eddie, you, and I put out, and I start putting up graphics on the fights that are out there, we'll talk about boxing all day long, nothing, and we won't never even think about bringing up Gervonta. And if we did bring up Gervonta, it would be a 5-minute, 3-minute situation of just using an example for something, and we'd move on. But these arguments get so deeply in depth right back to the same topic, which is why a fight is good or why a fight is not good, or we just lose, we lose the frame. And I think Showbiz has been able to kind of like capture that by not having panels, by just doing what he wants to do, saying what he wants to say for an hour to an hour and a half, and then he gets off, and he's doing well, and he's grown, and he's one of the biggest content creators in the boxing space.
He's the biggest, isn't he?
If he's not the biggest, he's one of the biggest. If he's not, I would say he's the biggest. Yeah, I would say he's the biggest. But I mean, I don't watch all these platforms, so I don't know if there's another one that's bigger than him. But I think he's right now, the way he just moved right now with DAZN, what he just did with DAZN just gave him, like, I'm hearing rumors of 7 figures. You know what I'm saying? That DAZN has put him in position to be in to cover their fights. And I heard MVP after Jake Paul's is working with him. I heard the PBC is doing things with him. He's moving the needle when it comes to content creation in the space.
He will do a good job, I think.
Yeah, he's great. He's awesome.
And you know, not to push.
Right.
I don't want to bring up his someone that's not really a big fan of his, but also even Champside has times where he does dip into these conversations, but he tries to stay straight down the line and not engage in these type of conversations. He likes to feed himself. He likes to feed boxing and feed facts into the information. He disputes all the He disputes all the information that's put out there that's false, and people get in his chat and they start yelling at him and cursing at him, and he has to go back and forth with them. And he's also engaged in a lot of these fighters. He has fighters that get upset with him, but they still interview him or still talk to him when he goes to their because he's a journalist. You know, he actually has his reporter's license. He goes to these events and he actually does interviews. He does these things on the chat. So he's also one that brings a lot of perspective to what you're talking about and how boxing needles should be moved. I'm not taking anyone's side. I'm not saying anyone's doing it wrong or doing it right. Everyone moves their own way in their own lane. With that being said, you know, I pass it off to you. I don't know if Blaze ever was able to get back in good reception, but okay. There you go, my brother. There you go. Yeah, sorry for the slander, bro. Clay kicked my back in for you. No worries, man. My bad.
That man said you like Ralph Tresvant. I had to come fight for you, Blaze. I couldn't let you go out like that, bro. I wasn't gonna have it. I wasn't having it, bro. Period, bro. I wasn't having it. Go ahead, bro. Bill, bro. You good, bro. You ain't going out like that up here, bro. Hell no, bro. Go ahead, bro. Nigga, straight
yeah.
gangster
Now I
from
would say,
Seattle, bro. You call him Ralph
just
Transvan. Go ahead.
briefly, nah, just I'm a businessman, man. See my suit, I'm a businessman.
No doubt, no
But I
doubt,
would
brother.
just say, I would just echo I would just echo with Echo was saying real quick, just with the debate, right? He was bringing up like red herrings, and you got to have like some debate intelligence. People have opinions, but then they mix them up with facts, and they don't really know how to be able to, refute a point with facts or not make ad hominem attacks with name calling for that. But in
Mm.
that type of forum, at this platform, you got a lot of trolling going on where people just seek attention, where people say stuff to just get rises out of individuals. Like, it's like a dopamine rush. They get a rush from coming on here and saying wacky stuff and getting a whole bunch of attention. And so you gotta watch out for that, in these particular spaces. And I think boxing attracts it, right? Because when you have a fandom with boxing, it's a visceral combat sport. So when people it's almost, it gets gang banging because you're literally getting in the ring and punching on each other. So when you choose a side, right, it's like subconsciously you got another individual trying to punch on somebody you have an affinity for. You feel what I'm saying? And so I think it kind of gets to an avid fanship when people, choose a side of what type of which boxer they like. I try to keep it, I mean, I do have, biases towards which boxers I have, but I do have respect for, the other individuals that are boxing and their opponents as well.
Y'all's very well said, Blaze.
Yeah.
Honestly, very well said, bro.
Hey, I got a question. Did y'all get a chance to watch the shout out to Andre Ward? I like what he's doing, first of all.
Oh yes.
He did an interview with Roy Jones, man. It was a great interview. Roy brought up some good points, man. Talked about the sport of boxing. Now, I still watch boxing, but when I was younger though, I had my favorite fighters. I had my favorite fighters I like to watch, like Holyfield. Wasn't a Tyson fan, but I like Holyfield. He's one of my favorite fighters. I like Bernard Hopkins. Roy Jones. Believe it or not, I didn't like Roy Jones back in the day. I learned to appreciate him after he retired. I thought Roy was just, I just did. I guess I didn't like Roy because my girl liked Roy. Everybody girl like Roy. You know what I'm saying? They may like him. Why you like him for? You know what I'm saying?
You let it get.
I was hating on Roy. You know what I'm saying?
Not your girl.
He was talking about Roy.
Hey, everybody chick like Roy. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know I'm telling the truth, man. But Roy made a good statement, man. Roy was like, back then, it should be. It's kind of like today. They talking about how boxing is kind of like wrestling, where we had characters. You had Bernard the Execution Hopkins. That was the character. Antonio Magic Man Tarver. Roy Jones. They called him Superman. He had so many nicknames. You had Floyd, Pretty Boy Floyd. Muhammad Ali, greatest of all time. Big George Foreman.
Right?
Yes, Smoking Joe Frazier. Sugar Ray. All these different characters right now, and we still kind of have that today. I like what Keyshawn Davis is doing. The businessman. He can if he start wearing them 3-piece suits, man, and start carrying around a briefcase, he done killed it.
The $1 Million Man.
Let that be your character. You know what I'm saying? Forget about the gold chains. Don't do that. Don't come out with no rappers, nothing like that. Just come out straight businessman. Every time you see him dressed to a T, got the suits on, whatever the alligators. But that's a character you can stay in. So I think a lot of these boxers gotta tap into that character element. Right. That's how you develop a fan base. You know what I mean? They look forward to seeing the character, because at the end of the day, boxing is entertainment, but it is real, but it's also the entertainment business. So that's what one thing about Floyd
100%.
And one thing how Floyd was able to cross over is Floyd went on Dancing with the Stars. Remember that? He became a household name. Floyd went on. He was wrestling, and Floyd did a lot of stuff. He was in rap videos. He was in Wu-Tang videos. I mean, Floyd made himself available, and that's how he became a household name, man. So a lot of these rappers are gonna have to tap into that, that character, making, being available to the public, being somebody you can walk up and talk to, not like I got to be surrounded by a million bodyguards. You know what I'm talking about? Which nowadays you got to be careful, because people are, out to get you sometime. But if you're accessible, like Mike Tyson was accessible. Muhammad Ali, these guys are accessible. Roy Jones is accessible. You can walk up to Roy Jones, he'll shake your hand, he'll talk to you. You know, the same way Van Holyfield, the same way, man. So these guys got to be accessible to the public and use that characterization, man. Come your own character. That way, everybody needs to be different. Everybody right now kind of fights in a similar fashion. And back then, these guys, everybody had their own different style, so you kind of knew what to expect. But yeah, I'm gonna land my plane right there.
Hey, Coach Eddie, I just gotta say, damn, Winky Wright, Ronald Winky Wright, my guy, bro. Bernard didn't beat him without that headbutt, bro. I'm sorry. He wouldn't have won without that headbutt.
Oh yeah, I believe it.
No, that's a fact though about trying to become creative out here and figuring a way to raise your market value in any way you can in this sport. You know, any way honorable. No, nothing that's going to take away from the integrity of the sport. But I see Blank Man says we don't want the sport to turn into WWE and be fake circus acts. Well, you know, I don't think boxing should ever be able to turn into a fake circus act because they're going to fight for real in the ring at the end of the day.
Right.
And that the part that needs to not be played with. You know what I mean? But as far as, you know, the attention, you do need it. I mean, Vince McMahon is one of the top marketing dudes ever in the history of
entertainment.
Sport on sports entertainment. This dude has found a way to do things that people can't even imagine. The UFC runs a lot of their business structure and the way they create their fighters and the way that they market their fighters based around Vince McMahon's advice. That's why they're actually on the same I can't remember, but I think they're under the same promotional banner or
currently they're under the same ownership.
Something like that. Yeah. So you're seeing that what it's doing for the UFC. So and that's what you're going to see also Turkey bringing to the game. Turkey's bringing that right now to the game with those crazy movie worthy trailers that he's making for his fighting events and the way he's promoting his fighters, and he's invested into the video games, into Undisputed and things of that way of that, and he's investing with other promoters and bringing them in, like this whole entire Latino night theme he has coming up this weekend. That's part of it, right? You see what he's doing for it. He turned Saudi Arabia, Riyadh, into like a little Mexico a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Just, you know, invested obscene amounts of money to promote these fights, and even the grand arrival, the experience during the week before the fight is very unique. You know what I mean? What he's doing.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say they have to when you mean WWE, you mean the build up to the fight. Like you want it to be entertaining, you want it to be call outs, you want it to be strategized, you want it to be fun for the fans. Because if it's not fun, let me tell you, the last biggest event that I'm going to shout out, Gervonta Davis and Frank Martin. I thought that was one of the best events to come up, because I just think that what Gervonta did with Frank Martin has made him uncomfortable, but it was sellable, you know, and it's not the first time he's done it. I think Ted's one of the best at building the fights and that on the stage. So I give credit where credit's due. And that's what we need in boxing. We need more people like that in boxing to, like you said, to bring into that energy out, to create that type of a fan base in that WWE world or anything. You know, just a popularity thing, like selling yourself to get to that point. Because a lot of these boxers today are lame. Excuse me for saying it, but they can't talk in the cameras. They don't know how to not use the N-word. They don't know how to not cuss like crazy. They just don't have filters. I mean, even on ESPN the other night, somebody said a cuss word and they used the N-word at the same time. I'm like, yo, what is going on here, bro? This is natural. This is national television. Why are we what are we doing to ourselves? And then we get mad when someone else calls us that. You know, or get upset when another boxer mentions it and says it. Like, come on, bro. You can't sit here and keep politicking against these things, but then get mad when this guy says it. As a fan, you have to draw the line. And if you're going to draw the line, be in a positive way where you're building it as a character. So when you get in that ring, as you said, Coach, that it builds the fight up. It becomes, the atmosphere changes. It's thickening. And they're out there just blasting each other with punches. Pause on the thickening part, because I know fire frequencies in the chat. But shout out to you, bro. But yeah, that was a good point.
Yeah, Black Man said, so you want more Blair Cobbs? I want more. Maybe, I don't know. Like,
I don't, maybe.
Cobbs, you know what I mean? I don't know, but I want that from the big fighters, though, the championship fighters. But I also want the fights to be made. More importantly, you know what I'm saying? I want the fights to be made. So it is what it is, guys. Look, we're 3.5 hours into this. I got to get ready. You know, I got other things to do today with Blue. I'm doing boxing all day long. This has been a great learning experience for me, by the way, as well. Believe it or not, Echo, I can't express how much I appreciate you coming up to the channel as often as you do. I'm being educated.
You're welcome.
I'm being educated every time that we're up here. Coach Eddie, I love you coming up here. You bring so much of your experience to the platform. It helps me because, you know, I started this channel a boxing fan, you know, and that's what I've always been. But I've never had to go so in depth in these conversations and explain and put perspective on fights. And, you know, I just was a guy who's sitting on my electric recliner right here, you know what I mean, with my drink and waiting on my wife to finish cooking dinner so I could watch the fight and enjoying it. But I've had to speak a lot more and getting more used to it. And I am getting more used to it. I'm being exposed to a lot more. Shout out to Blue Blood Sports. If you are watching, I don't know if he is watching, but he also, you know what I mean, shout out to everybody who's given me an opportunity to speak boxing with them and being patient with me as I go through my little learning curves as well, but still wanting to do the best thing for the sport. Shout out to my co-host who helps me, who makes it easier for me, gives me a little comfort, a little pause, a little cushion and comfort to where if I feel a little nerve-wracked and the nerves start getting to me, he's always there to pick you up right there. I got you, bro. Go ahead, man. You know what I mean? Shout out to Blaze pound for pound for respecting the platform and bringing your best contribution and engagement to the platform. And I know at times you can get poked at and feel like, you know what I mean, throwing a couple shots and you hold yourself, you reserve your anger. You might get a little crazy in the chat getting with people, but you always hold it together right here on the platform, and I appreciate that. You know what I mean? And I appreciate that quality of panel that comes up here and shares, builds on boxing, man. And you know, this time next year, a whole different level of conversation, hopefully, a whole different level of production, and we're a way bigger channel. You know what I'm saying? This time next year, God willing, inshallah. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, absolutely.
But yeah, we about to close it up, man. I don't know if you guys want to go ahead and put some final thoughts in on it. We 3.5 hours into the game, so I mean, we can start with Coach Eddie. Coach Eddie, if you want to say something before we bounce.
Yeah. Hey, Claymore, great show, man. It's good to be in I'm gonna say the 35 and up club, and not out there, you know, in the 18 and up with the 21-year-old stuff. It's an age reason for a reason when you go to some of these clubs to keep out the riffraff. So this is a good place where there ain't no riffraff over here. Secondly, I just want you guys to keep an eye on the African boxing scene, man. I've been watching some fights on African boxers. They have sometimes they'll put a show on YouTube. It's a lot of talent over there in Africa, a lot. And I believe somebody is going to tap into that market. I've seen some really good African fighters here. Been watching them lately. I'm starting to follow them. I can't remember the platform. When I do remember the platform, I'll let you guys know. They have some pretty good fights on these African networks.
Oh, definitely. Okay. Also, I want to take a chance to thank the super chats today. Jackie Hernandez, I appreciate you, Queen, for coming here and showing love, like you've been doing. Jackie Hernandez was actually one of my original supporters. I think she saw me on Mill City before I actually put the whole channel situation together for real, and she's always supported me. I didn't see her at night anymore. I'm assuming that she got to go to sleep and go to work and do things. And you know, we're opening. That's why we're doing this daytime exposure right now, that we're on this campaign trying to be out here in the daytime so we can talk to the people who can't be here in the middle of the night. I appreciate you, Jackie, for always supporting Boxing Hacker. He's a new addition to the family, always supporting as well. Shout out to Swift 718. I need to get you a wrench, brother, because he showed a lot of love today, and I love, more important than the love he showed in the super chat, I love the engagement in what he said in those super chats. There were a lot of good information and a lot of good perspective in there. Shout out to everybody who supports the channel on that level, and shout out to everybody as well in the chat for engaging. Shout out to Flyer Frequency, shout out to Blank Man, shout out to Jackie, shout out to Ross Clot, he's day one, grassroots right there, AJ Moore, all these guys who've been here since day one, even the T Orlandos and those guys, you know what I mean? Shout out to those guys. Hunter Young, a new addition to the family, always in here engaging in the chat. I appreciate all you guys. You guys make the channel, bro. Without you guys, we ain't got nothing, man. And we don't take that lightly, not even one bit, man. Salute to all you guys. And I guess we can move on to Echo if Echo wants to say something.
Yeah, I wanted to say that, for one thing, I'm always going to be respectful to everybody, you know, and we can all have different opinions, but that's all they are, opinions. Now, myself, I'm an historian. I understand boxing very well. You know, when I come on here, I talk about dates and things like that. But the thing is, I'm here to learn as well. And the true maturity of an adult is not independence, it's interdependence. We're here together to build. And that's what I've got to say today. You know, so you two are doing a great job, and you should be proud of yourselves.
Man, we appreciate you, man, and
Thank
you
you
for highlighting building, because we really take that word seriously. I think that's a foundational word for this channel, for what we try to represent, and we're trying to get everybody else to understand that the building is the most important part of these panels and these conversations. Is that we're building and building each other up. I appreciate that. Blaze, pound for pound, you want to say anything? Are you good money? You all right? Or you got something to say? I don't think he's available. He does that time to time. So we'll just move on to radio. Oh yeah, shout out to Bullet Gibson for sure, bro. Thank you, man. Shout out to hi. My wife just said hi.
Hey.
Salute the Bullet Gibson. Also foundational support, Reginald Moulton. Salute to you, King. And Swift says, good show, man. I appreciate it, man. Some are better than others, man. Today we try to stay out the drama, man, but sometimes it seems unavoidable. But I promise you, I always work hard to get in that, to steer away from that. You know what I mean? As much as I can.
Clay, get him that wrench right now while he's up there. He just chatted, so let's get him that wrench.
100%. Ray, you want to say something to close it out?
No, I mean, not really. I just think it was a good build today. You know, obviously we go into different conversations. We're only here to support boxing. Anything that comes along with that, you know, we're going to be here to talk about it, discuss it. We're not running from anything. We're just trying to just keep it as what it is. It's boxing. We're trying to stay up with the current events, anything of the past or anything of the of a future that's not really being dealt with. We try to stay away from it. I mean, it's not something far-fetched that we don't want to talk about. We're just trying to stay current, and we've tried to build everything to where it should be, and that's the conversation that's currently happening. We just want to show respect to everybody, all the boxers, all the boxer fans of any kind, any boxer, any state of mind that you're in. Much respect to you. Salute to y'all, and thank you for always engaging.
No doubt, man. And on that note, at this point, man, I appreciate you guys. Again, thank you. Nothing but love, man. We out.
Take care. Bye.
I see the flashing lights. Make sure the fashion right. Yeah. I'm in my bag tonight. Yeah. Ooh, I might just pull up before it. Watch out, the engine is roaring. It's too loud, you can ignore it. Yeah. This that highlights for the few. You can have it all, no need to choose. First, let me demonstrate how you can rise to the top. Yeah, I had to elevate. They hate when you elevate. Yeah, they hate when you elevate. They hate when you elevate. Yeah, I had to elevate. They hate when you elevate. The second of losses, I'm handing them out, yeah, I had to go delegate. They feel like I'm floating, I'm lost in the moment, that's why I couldn't levitate. They never believed that I would really fly. I had to go demonstrate. I had to set them straight. They hate when you elevate. The second of losses, I'm handing them out, yeah, I had to go delegate. They feel like I'm floating.